Good morning, like a breakfast jack and fast breakfast. No, you put those right in your breakfast.
Testing.
This was for punk lighting.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, I think we're all ready. Jeff, are you ready?
No, he's in the hall. 703, buddy, get in there.
He's one of the kids in the hall.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's your show, baby. Although it's bad for me to sleep with our guest. That's a good boy. Good morning. Good.
When I left this morning, I was under strict rules. No flirting.
Ah.
Oh, your girlfriend saw the.
Is she an actress? Your girlfriend?
Hi, I'm Jeff's.
What, are you kidding me?
Hi, I'm your guest.
I don't know how to work the TD board.
No, I'll just press this button. Now you gotta put the headphones on. I'll control it from here.
Ah.
Talk about a chimp in a rocket ship.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah, today should be a crazy day.
You have no idea.
All right, Jeff, are you tuned up?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Jeff, try to talk just a little bit about the Illuminati. Don't obsess about it for the whole 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
Starting live video.
I can actually hear myself.
Woo.
3 minutes away, she said. Okay. Ready?
Wow, so we have a new host in the building.
When do I start? When do I start intro? Now?
Let me do a countdown.
Okay.
I'm going to fade out of a fox in the red hairs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now.
Good morning, everybody. This is not Jeff Sargent. Well, this is a Jeff, just not Jeff Sargent. This is Jeffrey Breslauer.
Woohoo! A definite improvement.
Yeah, easier on the eyes.
Easier on the eyes, Dan the Man. I agree. He's funnier. He's a charming. He's got a SAG card.
This is definitely. We were just talking about all of this, and Jeff Sargent is giving me the head microphone. And
So today's show will actually be funny and smart. Poor Jeff sitting home and crying. Go on, Jeff. Keep taking the piss out of him.
Yeah, basically, it's like we were talking about. I feel like a chimp in a rocket ship.
That's how it felt since the beginning here, baby.
Yeah.
Well, I am the Jimmy of the Roy and Jimmy show.
Who's your co-host?
My co-host is the lovely Pat right over here.
Thank you, Jeffrey Broussard. You're my favorite Jeffrey ever.
Who's the guy in the window?
The guy in the window is Dan.
Dan who, sir?
And the
Give
guy
us-
in front of me is...
No. Dan the Man Rupp. You got to give the devil his due.
Dan the Man Rupp.
For God's sake, he brought breakfast.
Producer Dan.
Yeah, that's right. Jack in the Box.
And don't forget the call-in number in your radio voice. 909-360.
Where are... Oh. You see, a chimp in a rocket ship. And we have our call-in number, which is 909-360-8330.
Woohoo!
All right.
Good radio voice.
Yeah, great radio voice. It's Friday, babies. Friday.
TGIF, baby.
We were waiting for our first guest, Kellyanne Chippendale, when a homeless man showed up in the studio. He's staring at us with his cell phone, masturbating. What's your name, homeless man? Introduce him.
My name's Jeffrey Adam.
Jeffrey.
I thank you so much for this breakfast sandwich.
You're welcome. You're going to have to service all three of us, but you're welcome.
I don't know what that all means, but I'm just very thankful to be here.
Speaking of thankful to be, wow!
Oh, and she's here.
Holy cow!
Ah, she's
Morning,
here.
Your Highness. Hi, you're radio. You know,
Kellyanne.
sit in the big chair, little lady, and there you go. You brought your Mad Bible.
I did. I saw this. It was so amazing.
wow.
Hello, Kelly and
Chippendale. What a great name.
I know. I came in at the right time, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
He said your last name reminds him of, he's done a lot of Disney work. He said your last name reminds him of the two hamsters or whatever
two
they are.
chipmunks,
I
yeah.
don't know, chipmunks, hamsters.
You know, it reminds me of the strippers, Chippendale.
Yeah.
The Chippendale strippers.
Boy, you're coming off like a closet case, Dan.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay.
It's a front feed microphone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jeffrey is
morning.
guest hosting.
Yes,
Jeff
well,
is guesting.
I'm just an extra. He's hosting the show today.
Okay, great.
They're throwing me into the
Guest
deep
host.
end of the pool. The deep end of the gene pool.
We
right
wouldn't do it
there.
if we didn't think you could handle it. He rocked our
So
Halloween
we're going to
episode.
be asking questions about everybody here. So
Okay.
yeah, if you want to find out who he is and this guy, and
Why don't we start with her?
let's start with you. Yeah. Huh?
You've got the best voice in the five of us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
Oh.
She even knows her radio voice. You
That
sounded
was-
like an FM
that
DJ on
was-
that one.
that was-
Thank
you on the phone?
It was.
Oh.
It was me.
Oh, no.
Was my call live?
Oh.
Oh my God, I love that it was live. I
Yeah.
acknowledged what my agreement was. I acknowledged what I broke. I acknowledged what effect it had on you and me, and swore that I'd never do it again. Hi. How
Wow.
are you?
Dan the Man Rupp, this is Kellyanne Chippendale.
Hi.
Our guest.
I would love a coffee, please. Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, Dan
Light
brought
and
breakfast too. If you like breakfast burrito or hash browns or
Wow.
anything.
Wow, breakfast burrito. yeah.
I don't think there's any.
I
burritos
mean,
there.
breakfast. What was it called? Breakfast Jack. Sorry.
Breakfast Jack.
No,
breakfast
that's
like-
a simple
That's-
Jack for you. Simple Jack.
I like your shirt.
Yeah, it's very cool. Oh, wow. Larry Flint's Hustler Casino.
Like I said, that's why you.
I don't gamble anywhere.
Dan is wearing Larry Flint's Hustler Casino and assless chaps.
That is the first magazine that I saw Pink in.
Oh, Pink the singer with the wonderful.
or the color.
or the color.
Yeah.
I shared an elevator with him, and it was the most uncomfortable. I wrote for a magazine that shall remain nameless. It was a film magazine published by Larry Flint,
Wow.
and he bought the bank. You know, are you in Angelano? Do you live here? Or are
Yes,
you?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, he bought the old bank, the Western Union Bank,
Uh-huh.
with the big John Wayne statue out front.
Wow.
So he was in the penthouse. I was going to this magazine, which was like at the 10th or 11th floor. And he was in the solid gold wheelchair.
Whoa.
But he looked like a giant frog. I mean, he's in the chair, and I mean, in that sense, mean because he's paralyzed, but he has these big, doleful eyes, and he's staring at you like, and the two largest black men in the world were pushing him. They were huge. They were like 9'9". Coming from me, this is true.
That really is. You have a very high bar you're setting there.
They were like Secret Service. They were in the suit and ties. They had dark sunglasses, but the whole time he doesn't say hello. I go, hey,
Wow.
and it's like it was the weirdest friggin' 5 minutes of my life.
Yeah, as a geek moment, if Davros and Jabba the Hutt had
Yeah,
a kid.
Jabba the Hutt is how I described it to my friends. I didn't want to sound mean, but he did remind me of Davros, nice touch.
Yeah.
But he did remind
Hence
me
the wheelchair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he did remind me of Jabba because he's staring at you, and you're thinking, this is the eyes of a guy who's probably destroyed 10,000 women by putting them in families. But because Penthouse was always the skeevier playboy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wouldn't just stop at pictures. He would do icky things and write. The captions were icky. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't have any experience in that.
No, you struck us as a good girl.
I wouldn't really know. Since I'm the only female here. Trying to represent.
Yeah,
We're trying.
It was like this yesterday, too.
his publication was not known for its literary work.
No. And the four of us are trying to come off not like Miramax executives.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I think you're wearing my phones, and I'm wearing yours.
Oh. Okay.
There we go.
Oops.
There we go.
Wow.
Oh, you weren't hearing anything?
No, it's just...
Now you know what I went through on Halloween.
Yeah.
That
I
was
had
a
the
hit.
headphones on, and they were like window adornments because I couldn't hear myself.
But the Halloween show was great. You were great. When the guest, we had a Hammer horror chick call in, and you had a ton of great questions for her. The Peter Cushing finger in the air, I've never heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
I looked it up, though. It's a thing on the internet.
It is, and
Peter Cushing is this old British character actor, Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars, but he's so much more. Well, explain.
Yeah,
sorry.
well, basically, throughout his cinematic career, when Peter Cushing's character would make a point of something, he put his index finger up as if to emphasize the point. So, like in Horror of Dracula, when he would be talking to Michael Goff, who was...
Alfred the Butler, and he was
in
also
the
in
old-
Circus of Terrors.
Exactly.
They-
Phantom of the Opera.
Michael, in fact, a great thing is Michael Caine, when he played Alfred in the 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies, he said he was friends with Michael Goff.
Yeah.
Which I believe is how you pronounce his name. We always
Yeah.
called him Gog as kids. It's
Yeah.
a Michael Gog movie. No, but they called it the when he played Alfred for Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan.
Sure.
Michael Caine would refer to it as the Michael Go retirement plan, where he says you would sit on a beach for 2 years and then come in every 2 years to do a big expensive Batman movie, and your retirement would be paid for by Warner Brothers.
Exactly. But Michael Goff was a Hammer person. He was one of the main villains.
He was always a poor man's Christopher Lee in my book, though.
Well, no, but he was a villain in Herbert Lom's Phantom of the Opera from
Oh, by the way,
1962.
that one is boring as hell. And talking for a kid who had scarlet fever and watched that on Detroit TV one summer, it was boring as hell.
But he also was a main villain in Doctor Who.
That I did not know.
A very young Michael Goff, and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the name of the character, but he almost wore an Oriental outfit.
Really?
Yeah. But when Peter Cushing would talk to him, he would say, now, I want you to do exactly as I tell you, for if you don't, and when he said, for if you don't, the finger would go up. And it sort of became like a drinking game in college. You know, we would...
When his finger would go up?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's big into films also, and we would watch all of these horror films and classics and everything. Whenever Peter Cushing would go on, it would sort of like become a drinking game where every time the finger would go up, we would have to chug a beer or drink, you know. And it was,
the best drinking game, you would do that. The best drinking game I had in college was when Poltergeist 3 would run on cable. Poltergeist 3, the little girl, Heather O'Rourke, who played the little girl in Poltergeist.
Carol Ann.
right.
Carol Ann. She would die. She died when they were
Yeah.
making this one. It's a terrible movie. But it's
I didn't know
famous because they say her name 178 times.
Really?
So we would have generic beer. We'd be sitting there. You'd have to pound one every time. Towards the last half of the movie, when Tom Skerritt, Nancy Allen, and like 20 other people are shouting, Carol Ann, you're drinking so bleary-eyed, you know?
Yeah. All of a sudden, you're brushing something off your shoulder, and it's the floor.
Oh, yeah. But by the way, let's talk to the pride of Kearney, New
Kellyanne,
Jersey.
Kellyanne. Kellyanne.
No. The pride of Kearney, New Jersey, I said.
Yeah,
I wasn't mispronouncing your name.
No, just the town is Kearney.
Oh, Kearney.
Like Kearney. Yeah.
You're the first
Like-
Kellyanne I've met where it's all one word. Kellyanne.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't spell it with an E because I like to spell mine with a conscience. Like, Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have to explain that sometimes. I still haven't gotten the correct details for that joke, but
You'll get it.
yeah, everyone spells it with an E now.
All right, how'd you get your Kellyanne? How'd you get your SAG card?
I got my SAG card from a movie that I did in 2009, but I didn't get into the movie, but I got the card.
Wow.
So it's called Foreign Exchange. And the girl, I'm so bad with names. I wish I was better with names. I really appreciate that you guys know all the names of the movies and stuff. I'm so bad at it. I need to get better at it. But the girl from American Pie, Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh, yeah. The mom.
Yeah,
Stifler's
yeah.
mom.
Yeah, she was in it. So that was pretty cool. She's really cool. She's really down to earth and real deal, cool. Not all about herself.
Wow,
And,
you liked her.
So yeah, she was cool, and the movie's good, but I don't know how well it did. But
Well, if you're not
Did
into
you
Kelly,
shoot
I'm not
any
going to see it.
scenes?
say it again.
Did you shoot any scenes?
I had like one line, and I was a teacher. I forget what the line was.
Oh.
I think we were at like a prom or some kind of like high
Miss
school
Svensson,
thing.
eh?
Yeah. So that was fun. It was interesting because I got to see, I also photographed on that, like the stills. So that was pretty interesting. We shot at Reseda High School.
Oh, you shot it here?
Yeah.
Wow.
I came from New Jersey to shoot that.
Oh, wow. Oh, hey, you worked with Tanya Raimondi on that.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, oh yeah, I did, but I don't know who she is.
I was the monster on her show on several episodes of. She was in this great thing on MTV.
Do
she
you have
worked
a
with
picture right there? Frank?
Yeah, I'll show you what she looks like. She went on to beautiful girl. She went on to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Remember her now, or?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Oh, she's staring at it angrily.
No, I'm not. She's beautiful. There was actually a lot of great people on there. The guy from Revenge of the Nerds was on.
Keith Carradine or Robert Carradine?
Not
Revenge of the Nerds is Robert.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
cool.
yeah.
Thank you. That's
and then,
good.
And even some young guy, the one guy who was like so gorgeous, he did the Carl's Jr. commercial.
Ryan Pinkston,
I think was it him? Yeah.
main guy. Yeah,
It was a blonde kid.
I will find his name for you. Hold
But
on.
it was definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to tap you. Don't misconstrue that now. I just tapped his knee. I did it by mistake.
Ashley Under.
Kick me in my bad knee. Ow.
Like, ooh, she likes me.
She's playing.
She wants
Trust me.
me.
She's playing.
He'd be saying that
footsie.
even if you spit on him and burned him with a cigarette.
Where's my lawyer?
Quick, hazard pay.
Hazard pay.
Jeff had a 3-shower deal with Harvey Weinstein before everything went down.
Golden? No. That's crazy. Yeah.
We're going to have to call you Wiki from now on.
Oh, thank you. Well, it
I
helped
know.
though because since college I've written for a bunch of film magazines, and it helps where you don't have to stop every 5 minutes and look up a name if you know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I mean-
Absolutely. I totally wish I was good at that.
But you're from Kearney, New Jersey. How close were you to the Pine Barrens?
Pretty far. I was like 8 miles from Manhattan. So
I love how you said Manhattan. We had the-
You took the PATH
NYC.
train?
I did. I took the path to Jersey City, cut to school sometimes.
Wow, where would you go?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was fun.
Would you wander Times Square?
Sometimes. I mean, I was a pretty good student. I was in all like the honors class. I was a special ed in honors.
Wow. All right,
Is
who's your favorite New Jerseyite singer? Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, or Frank Sinatra?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Depends on what you're in the mood for. I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, I mean, my favorite song from Bruce is Born to Run. Bon Jovi was my first concert that I ever went to.
Oh, that is Bon Jovi.
And well, Frank, Frank.
Of course, the pride of Hoboken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's classic.
Oh. Now, let me ask you, how close were you to Mattawan Creek?
Probably like 30 minutes.
Had you been there?
I've been to Mattawan, but I don't know about Mattawan Creek.
Was it when Mattawan is Mattawan Creek? Was
Oh,
there,
okay.
was there a sign or anything for the shark that ate all the people in 1916?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. You're the
I
second.
don't know. I'm not sure.
You were the second striking Jerseyite we've had on in 2 days, and also been to Matawan. We had the girl from Clerks yesterday, the great Marilyn Gigliotti.
Okay. Well, I used to summer. That's my Hamptons talk when I was a nanny in the Hamptons. I used to summer in Chadwick Beach, Jersey Shore. I hate to say Jersey Shore because the people on Jersey Shore were from Staten Island, but no one knows that.
I didn't know that. Really? The people on Jersey Shore are
scripted reality.
I think so. Like Snooki. Or I don't know. Is that her name, Snooki?
Yeah.
Cookie? I don't know. One of
Oh,
those.
you knew the name. You watched the show.
She has a cookie line now, I think. Snooki's Cookies.
Snooki.
Isn't it weird, the reality
Conjures
fame?
up a weird picture, though.
But reality fame, these reality kids come out of nowhere. They hit big, and then it just evaporates.
They end up hosting like rave parties in Vegas and stuff like that.
But until she mentioned Snooki, I hadn't thought of. I didn't watch the show, but it was one of those reality show, Honey Bobo or whatever they would shove down your throat.
Here comes
Well,
Honey
I
Boo
think it
Boo.
was really a big, like, that was one of the biggest ones, Jersey Shore, which, like, kind of launched more of that stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, but, I mean, I know that Jersey Shore was huge, and just over, drinking and getting loaded and sleeping with each other. It's just like, wow, it's kind of in the Kardashian family.
But what's weird is nobody remembers
We're
it.
not talking about the Star Trek
Oh, no.
Kardashians, are we? Those are the only ones that I appreciate, is the Star Trek Kardashians.
I know when, having done a couple Star Trek and the Star Trek commercials and stuff, I know that the only aliens I was glad I wasn't, nobody wanted to be a Borg, because the Borg had to be a certain size. We had a Borg in last week, by the way, Kellyanne.
Oh, wow.
So you're in good company. Jeff, we had a Borg in. We had one Borg on our show, 2 Borg.
Like a Borg in.
But they would put you in a wetsuit, no zipper, and you would be in it for like 16 hours.
Wow.
The other great thing about Star Trek Aliens, when you do one, is at a certain hour you would hit golden time.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember
time.
it was huge. It was like $4,000 days, and all the aliens are trying to hide so they're not put back to, so they can run up the clock as much as possible.
Sure.
You would open the bathroom because all the makeup the PA was a makeup girl trying to get everyone back in the makeup room. You'd open the door, and it was wall-to-wall male aliens hiding in the restroom. It was so sad.
A buddy of mine has been a Borg.
Dan Warren,
No, a guy named Craig Reed.
we had him on last week.
Craig?
Craig was on the
Oh,
show.
that's right, yeah.
Craig was also, I was more excited that Craig murders Barbara Crampton in the last 5 minutes of Reanimator. He's the Badly Burned zombie who, I interviewed him after he was off the air here. I interviewed him in the parking lot for Star Trek the Magazine, which was where he'll appear.
Sure.
And I have a magnum opus on Reanimator that'll be appearing in Dark Side. I wrote for Fangoria. It was for Fangoria originally, but they went belly up. So now it'll be in Dark Side.
Yeah, my dad was a big Star Trek fan.
Oh, yeah?
Was he really?
Sorry, I keep touching you. Sorry. It's like a magnet. You're a magnet, Jeff.
She's trying to
Jeff,
talk
it's
to
all
Jeff.
about location.
I was going to start a band called Chick Magnet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's a good idea, I think. Yeah.
And then
Maybe you still can.
their first album will be Pepper Spray in the Eyes. A Knee in My Groin by Jeff Sargent.
I could be one of the singers.
Ooh, you'll also be the one providing the knee to his groin.
I'm like,
Back off, Dr. Octopus.
I'll have a drink of coffee on that note.
Of course. Hang on, let's go over the rest of her resume, boys.
Wow.
Let's see. Let's find out what Kellyanne Chippendale.
God.
I'm
How
so sorry.
dare you?
I spell mine with a conscience.
As soon as I punch the 2 L's, though, that's who comes up.
I know.
I do have one question.
Sure.
I did a little bit of research on
Okay. Uh-oh.
And, well, I said a little bit.
Okay.
That's
That's
one
good.
Of the things, being an actor, one of the things that I'm interested in is tell me your connection with Meisner.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, Sanford Meisner was the like method that I studied when I came here to LA. Sanford Meisner, I feel like, can change the world. His studying, because it's basically about humanity. Hi. And because you're like listening to the other person basically, and you are kind of reading the other person, and empathy comes in there. And I was like, what does empathy mean now in these days? Does it, you know, if you ask, that would be a cool little segment. If you're on Hollywood Boulevard,
Yeah.
be like, do you know what empathy means?
No. Empathy dies before it gets off the train in California.
I know.
Also, for the
Yes.
for the civilians listening in, the way I've always known it is Meisner's approach branched off from Stanislavski. Stanislavski's method
You are a tree.
was basically all internal.
Right, like effective. Yeah.
Right. Meisner is basically reactive. You're reacting off of the other person.
Yes.
And you're getting feedback from the other person.
Yes.
And in this respect, it's more external.
Yes, and that's what that's why I feel like it could be really powerful now, because everyone's so on their phones or so, and they're already always listening. So like if I say
living in the zombie apocalypse.
right, like if I say coffee, like we all have different thoughts of coffee, right?
Sure.
So like when I'm talking to you, it's like all those words that are occurring, you're just already thinking, already listening to what your own stuff is.
Sense memory. I remember that training.
Yeah.
But just, you know, what you equate to each word, you know, is like your own experience. So it's like sometimes you're already listening. You already have what your thoughts are, because it's hard to be open sometimes because we're all just inundated with our own stuff.
It allows the listener to be more reactive and authentic and not be
Real.
so thinking about their lines.
Yeah. When you know, in the early days before you finished your training, it's like, okay, when she stops talking, I have to say my line.
Yeah, or like, what's my line? What's my line? What
Yeah.
you know, because like even like if her line was like something and it said pizza in it, and then you're just like, oh, I'm really hungry right now, and then you're like, oh, where am I? You know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you're not just really like, wow, what's she
Zoning
talking
in on
about
the
pizza?
cue.
Yeah. So I think it's mostly about listening. I don't know if the art of listening is disappearing, like conversation.
What? Do you mind? Are we bothering you, homeless man?
It's time to get up.
Exactly.
Wow, that's interesting.
Pretend it never happened.
Yeah. So yeah, and the whole thing about, I think he's a great teacher who, you know, can change the world, and did, you know, change the place of acting and different things that occurred in acting. Because if you're trying to remember, like when you were 9, when your dog died, to go back to that feeling, you really can't capture that time again. You know, you could like really try and stuff, but as time goes by, you know, things fade away, and you can't really recapture that moment, I think. So it's like when you're really in Meisner, you're kind of really in the moment, and really, like right now, wow, you look like you're interested.
Oh, I am. Yeah. It's all fascinating, and there are a number of famous actors who are Meisner trained.
Absolutely.
The number one being Robert Duvall, Tom Cruise, Sebastian Stan, who everybody knows.
Oh, Winter
Bucky
Soldier.
Barnes. Bucky Barnes, yeah.
He's Meisner trained?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Will Wheaton.
Yeah, Grace
is
Kelly,
also, and
John Voight.
John Voight, really?
yeah.
Wow.
And one of my all-time favorite recent actresses, who I just think was absolutely amazing, Tatiana Maslany.
Is that Paul Maslany's daughter, the producer?
No, Maslany, Tatiana Maslany, Orphan Black.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I seen that. Yeah, I like that show.
She was all of those characters, and to be able to differentiate and to be playing opposite versions of herself was absolutely stunning. The editing was brilliant. Her acting and her ear for dialect was absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
From binge watching Orphan Black, I am a fan.
Cool.
And in the moment, she was in the moment, and that is something that a lot of acting these days is lacking.
Because listening,
Yeah.
you know, there's
And
hardly any listening.
So
going on.
so many of the actors, I guess it's due to commercialism. Everybody pays attention to their hair, their eyes, their muscles, their tan, their whatever, their teeth. Meisner, I think himself, actually said, it's amazing how freeing it is when you don't care what somebody else thinks about you.
Oh my God, that's the biggest thing I got from training with him, because you really learn what is important to you. And so, wow, my whole life changed after that class, after that year. I mean, as the year was progressing, it was changing, because I would be reacting like really authentically to instead of, because we're always walking around with like this shield up, pretending like everything's great, you know. And so it really, it really changed. I was able just to like speak up more, just know what I want, not deal with stuff that wasn't cool, you know, that didn't like resonate with me. I hate when people say that, but they didn't resonate with me. But oh my God,
Makes you feel like
I've been in LA too long. No.
Yeah, it makes you feel like a tuning fork, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, totally. Because, you know, it is difficult because, you know, obviously 2017, everything's like, we're so busy, we're trying to do this, everything's expensive, we don't have enough time to, like, you know, kind of just sit anymore, you know. That's why I'm glad I don't have kids or a husband. But I don't know how people do it. I'm like, how do I do it? And I'm single and no boyfriend, no kids, but it's like all the people who have kids, it's like, whoa. I think that they were thinking it was going to be like the 80s, you know?
See, one of the biggest disadvantages nowadays for us actors is we have to be the business person also.
Oh my God, it's so tough.
Back in the golden days, back in the days when we had the old studio system.
Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, even further. But we had the old studio system, and what we did not have to worry about was we didn't have to worry about marketing. We didn't have to worry about getting our pictures there. We didn't have to worry about how to go about getting auditions.
I know.
Everything was taken care of.
Self-taping.
We just had to take classes. We just had to act in films. That was our job. We were on the payroll. We had to act in films. No, you cannot take that waiter's job.
It's amazing. I know. I wish I was there in that time. Because
I
like the studio
wish.
had you, and they were just like,
Yeah.
okay, you work for MGM. You're employed by MGM. And they'd be like, okay, how about this? How about that? How about this?
Yeah.
Here's a car. Go there.
I actually
know your lines and go there.
Yeah, I would
like,
love
wow.
it if there was a modified version of the old studio system.
Like
I could-
how? How would you modify it?
Modify it in that we do have unions. You and I are both SAG-AFTRA.
Unions ruin everything, although we do
Well,
get great
no,
screeners.
If there's a balance between the producers and the unions, where neither one has an upper hand, it works well. There's a give and take. They negotiate. When either one has the upper hand, that's where the human factor comes in, and
And the greed.
it screws everything
Always
up.
agreed, yeah.
Yeah, it screws everything up. But to be able to have a modified version of the old studio system where you have the creativity and you have pictures that come in. I mean, the writing back in the days, and yes, back in the day.
These are the days to shout to.
Continue, Grandpa
I'm gonna be
Brassower.
the-
What
Yeah,
song was that? Now you're haunting me. What,
I know, I'm like, sorry.
what
I
theme
always wanna
song
be a
was that?
singer.
What theme song was that?
These are the days to hold on to.
What's that from?
I'm not good with words either.
That's
I don't
not
know people's
Melrose-
names.
That's not Melrose Place, but what is that
I
theme
know.
from?
It's an old classic guy from Long Island. He's touring now. Ooh, his
'Cause I'm- 'cause I'm
here's
an
one
old-
for you
I'm an old
guys
guy.
and the
Okay, let me know.
listeners. His initials are BJ. Which you're already
Bon
always
Billy
listening.
Joel. Woo! Okay, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, because I'm an old guy from Long Island too.
Are you?
Oh, you're.
I
I
was-
was thinking it was Florida.
Yeah, no. I was.
Oh, thank God, right?
Born
I'm
in-
just kidding.
I was- no.
I love Florida.
I was born in,
Oh,
born
where?
in the Bronx and raised in Levittown, Long Island.
Levittown. I lived in
Levittown.
Wantagh.
Did you?
Yes. My first job as a teacher. I went to St. John's University.
Did you?
So-
She was an
I
in-
went to Hofstra.
Oh.
She was an intern for Bill O'Reilly.
Oh.
The part
I gave him a
of
kick
Levittown.
swift. That's why he's out now.
All right, since you're both Long Islands, Let me ask you, you ever been to the Amityville Horror House?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Tell us.
Doesn't exist.
What?
I know. I was wondering.
The
'cause
house is there, and it was taken totally out of context. It's just a house. A lot of the house was enhanced for the movie.
So it didn't
Hooray
have a
for
chimney that looked like a
Hollywood.
nose and the windows that looked like eyes?
No. No.
that was a tough one. That was like one of those
but
childhood
I
ones.
did see Billy Joel's glass house. I drove by it.
Oh,
Did you throw a
really?
rock at it?
No.
Get out of Lava Town! You bum!
I love Billy Joel. I want to see him in concert. Have you guys ever seen him in concert?
I have.
He's probably
I've,
amazing.
I've seen him in concert several times and once with Elton John.
Wow.
But I've seen
Elton
him
John's amazing. He's a hit machine. It's like a
Yeah.
living, singing jukebox. No, but if you go, I went to a Springsteen concert. I've been to several, but the first one I did, he played for 4 hours and 45. He did 4 hours, went off stage, and he did 45 minutes of encores. I saw Prince. Prince played
you're
for
so lucky.
just under 2 hours and came back and did. The only song he didn't do that I wanted to hear was Bad Dance.
Okay.
None of my friends held any hope of hearing that either, but he did not do Bad Dance.
No, I saw Motorhead, and it was really odd. This was Lemmy's last show. It was at Riverside Auditorium.
That's why he was forgetting the lyrics, right?
Yeah, and he once they were done, the crowd was screaming for an encore, and they just walked off stage. They were done, and they went to Denver, and that's when he passed.
So Lemmy probably could
He
barely
didn't have
walk.
it in him.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll-
Who did I just say? I just saw Iggy Pop. I was a bartender
Oh,
at the
man,
Jealous.
theater.
my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like he was walking in like all like zombie. I was like, this guy's gonna perform with this like gorgeous woman, you know. And I was just like, wow, interesting, you know. And so then when he performed, I was like, whoa, he like stripped down his underwear. He was like humping the pole. I was like,
Was this
wow.
with Josh Homme on guitar, the new band?
I'm so bad at names. Maybe.
Well, how long ago was this?
It was last season at the Greek.
Wow.
I think
I
it was
bu-
his actually last show. I think.
Okay,
Oh,
that
you went to
was
the Greek.
That
Yeah,
was with Josh Homme on guitar and his producer,
Josh is your homie?
and Josh is my homie from Queens of the Stone Age, and he's a
What a
great,
tool you
great
are.
guitar
Name dropping
player.
Queen of the Stone Age.
He's a great guitar player and producer, very innovative.
Tell us about Nickelback, Casey Kasem.
And Queen of the Stone Days is a great band out from the desert. And 29 Palms are huge, and Joshua Tree. You'll see their posters everywhere.
Wow.
Soon you'll be seeing our posters everywhere.
Chaotic Radio.
Chaotic
Yes.
Radio, baby.
I
Yes,
like it.
we
Chaotic
have the-
Radio.
I feel like we just had this. Welcome back to America's Top 40.
Wow. Hey, Casey Kasem, like Iggy Pop, is a Michigander.
Oh my goodness.
Casey Kasem went to my dad's. Casey Kasem went to my dad. He graduated before my dad's, so I guess it was Casey Kasem's university, which was Wayne State, which is also where Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters went.
Right.
All Michiganders. Wayne State was the place I mentioned when I was 4. My brother took a math class there, and when Mom and my brother were in the class, a guy knocked on the window with a gun and robbed our car, and even took my little brother's baby bottle.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Detroit.
Wow. Oh, that's where you're from, Detroit.
Yeah, I was 4. My brother was 3, and the little brother, the baby, my mom had, but he came back and asked him for the. He goes, "Give me the baby bottle too."
Wow.
What a d-bag, huh? Welcome to Michigan.
Wow.
Here's to you, Wayne State.
Yay. Interesting.
So tell us about Svetlana and Mail Order Bride.
Svetlana.
Escape to America.
Yeah, well, it went to the whole little thing about how I'm not. It's going to be shooting in Toronto. It's $5 million budget, but I'm not Svetlana.
We're
but
going
you
to
were one of-
Canada
You
again.
were one of the Mail Order Brides. You did the voice too
It
well.
was fun. I probably helped selling it. Maybe I don't know. It was fun though. It was a great time. And Brooke Forbes is my friend she produced it, and she's been working on it for 5 years. And she had a play, and she has like 5 seasons of episodes written already.
Wow.
So now she's doing the feature film, and it got picked up. And yeah, they started with a $5 million budget, but I'm like, oh, I'm not part of it, but it's okay.
Well, she put
I'm
you in
happy
it.
for her, you know.
She
I'm
put
happy
you in
for
the
her. I
This
just
is
can't
LA,
seem to get
baby.
an
No,
acting gig.
this is California, honey. Nobody's happy about nobody.
But that's
But
gonna
they
change.
won't tell you.
I want to change that.
We
actually.
don't
I
have
would love
empathy,
that.
but we have plenty of Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I grew up with in my classrooms, like K to 8, I had the same class.
Oh, you were a teacher.
Well, like I was, but like also when I grew up with my own teachers, I had great teachers. And like everyone helped each other like in a competitive way, but good. Like everyone would add to each other's projects, so then everyone was happy for one another. It's like, why doesn't that exist?
Not
So I think that's
anymore.
my problem now. I had such great teachers that
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, I'm not in reality, because I feel like people can't be happy for you, and I don't understand it.
You're in the land of oversharing. I mean, if there
Oversharing.
is empathy, one of the things I discussed this week, I've got a lot of actress friends,
Okay.
and they'll do this stupid thing. Actors don't do it. Actresses do.
Wow.
I don't know why. Wish me luck, everybody. I've got a Sprite edition tomorrow at West Side Casting. And then she'll post cluelessly. I couldn't believe I saw so many of my friends in the edition today. Actress Live, hashtag. It's like you called an airstrike on yourself.
Right.
All your friends are your type. As soon as you posted this, they called their agent and said, hey, West Side has a Sprite edition for my type.
Get me in.
And you get me in. And that's exactly what would happen. And I finally pulled her aside and she looked at me and said, my friends wouldn't do that. I go, you posted the next day how all your friends on Facebook were there. And she goes, and it was like, it blew
Light
my-
bulb moment.
It was horrifying because she's looking at me like, yeah. And it was
40,
like,
40 watt anyway.
yeah, 30.
Definitely not 100.
No.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's interesting, you know, the whole acting audition thing. But I mean, I just look at it now differently. I just have fun when I'm in there.
That's all you have to do, you know.
Yeah.
But don't tell people you're on. Never mention an audition. And this is my rule of thumb. I don't know how you feel about it, Jeff.
My rule of thumb is
Loose lips.
Yes.
I let
Sink ship.
people
Thank you.
I give people an indication when it's about to air.
I don't even do that.
Right.
I just let it. If it airs, it airs.
Or the
By
day
the
it
way,
is airing.
you might see me on ...
You know what? I don't even do that. I just shut up, and if people start posting it on your wall, okay, it's running. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
only way to. You want to. When you get the call back, when you get the call, when you get the wardrobe, you're fit to bust, but you don't want to jinx it.
Right.
Once it's in the
We're going a
can,
different way.
yeah. But
They
tell
call you
once-
that day, right?
Tell
I
them,
know
Jeffrey
about
and Jeff.
that, yeah.
Once it's in the can, it's out of your hands. And I just, all I think is, okay, well, if somebody mentions it, it's out there. If they don't, they don't.
Right.
And
And
it's-
that's how I felt with like even that foreign exchange. I was like, yay, you know, and especially Jennifer Coolidge, like, wow, that's my first film. That's cool.
Isn't that
you
cool?
know?
Especially when there's somebody. I did this low budget, no budget teen sex comedy, and
Teen sex comedies are always fun.
yeah, in Palm Springs.
Isn't that redundant?
And my wife in the movie was
Exactly.
the stripper was Nikki Ziering, the stripper from American Pie 2 or 3, and I thought, wow, this is so incredible. You know?
Can I get a picture?
Yeah. No, but
Right.
I've got a great story off the air.
Yeah. And then like, so yeah, I think like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months later, I was catering at a party and it was like Megan Mullally, Jennifer Coolidge, Kathy Griffin, and then Molly Shannon. And I was like, wow, hi. You know, like, can I not be at the party working? Can I be on your side?
I did. I was on a set with the guy. I think Miss Congeniality too, and the bad guy, the wacky bad guy in the movie.
Uh-huh.
His resume was a bunch of projects, and people would tell you, "That's Megan Mullally's husband."
Yeah, right.
I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's what he's known for.
Oh, so that's why he has so many U5s and Will and Grace.
Actually, he's a really nice guy.
He is.
Because he was at
no,
the party too.
He was very nice. Yeah. But I felt bad that he was the Norman Niles moment for you Stars Born fans.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's Megan Mullally. So you're right. He was an incredibly nice guy, but it's like, could you mention something he did without her name becoming up? And everybody wanted to talk about Megan Mullally whenever his name would come up on this. I love her. Well, tell us something about him.
I made
And it
the
was
big.
so nice of her to invite him.
Yeah, exactly.
I made that mistake too, Patrick. telling, no, catch me on this movie. I spent a
Never.
whole.
I told you never to do that.
I spent a whole month filming all the way with LBJ. You know, with Bryan Cranston playing LBJ, President Johnson, and you know, and I thought, oh my God, features. They did my hair. I grew my hair out. They were.
I'll film you.
Camerawoman Kelly. Yeah, that
They
terrible.
were putting that hair and spray color in my hair to hide the bald spot and all this, you know.
And then you posted on Facebook, I got an LBJ from Bryan Cranston.
It was, you know what? And when that movie aired, I'm like, how could I work on a month? And the only thing you saw me in was somebody did a screen grab and circled me. This little tiny head at the National Democratic Convention
There's Jeff.
toward the end of the movie.
See,
And I'm going, I'll never do this again. Just wait till it airs. And then that's what I did. And then I wasn't aware of, I did an episode of Ray Donovan. And then all of a sudden everybody's sending screen grabs on Facebook saying, you low down human trafficker scumbag, blah, look at you. And I was in handcuffs and in Long Beach, and I wasn't even aware of it, but there's like 4 different camera angles, and we were getting busted. The SWAT team was there, and Robert Craighead goes, oh, look, it's Jeff Sargent.
but to me, it's better.
I didn't even know. Like I said, I wasn't even aware of it.
But I mean, when I do, I don't know how you guys feel, but when I do a commercial or something, I put it out of my head. My coach, a great guy named Willard Pugh, he told my brother Donald and I, when it's about the work, it's not about the gig, it's not about bragging, and you just forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I know when it's on Facebook, when people start to mention it, okay, it's out there. You know what I mean?
You know, there was.
I just want the residuals.
Well, yeah, that's very nice too.
What's that?
The very first movie where I broke the sound barrier. In other words, I had
spoken
lines.
word,
Yeah, was a movie called Police Academy 5.
Awesome.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I
saw you.
Yeah, I was a news photographer.
Yeah.
Now, unbeknownst to most people, there was more than one news photographer in that movie. It was me and this other guy. Now, the other guy was talking about how he was helping the guys with the script and doing all of this.
One of those D-bags, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
I was rerunning on the side.
So the wind-up was, we shot the movie, and I was just sort of nodding my head. Yes, I would talk to him, and I would turn into the dog on my dashboard.
Smart.
And the movie aired. Now, when the movie started in the theaters, he brought all of his acting students to see it.
Oh, no.
And
Idiot.
there he wasn't.
Wow.
Oh, man. How disappointing.
Well, he was being an a-hole on the set, and that's the number one thing. You
So-
shut up and you
Yeah,
know.
you do what you're told. You make the director's job
Easier. That's why you're there.
Your job is to fulfill the vision of the director and the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you leave as little of a footprint as you possibly can. You do your work. You thank them for the opportunity to work.
Always, yeah.
And you leave. And then you go about your life. And then when the project airs, hopefully you'll have something to show for it. And thankfully I did, and I still get residuals for it.
Nice.
So
That's a great radio voice.
yeah.
That's a lesson. We can all learn from that. Any actors watching this show.
Bravissimo.
And I have a question. This comes from the same guy, and he asks the same question all the time. And
That's not Bubba from the other week. It was
No, this is from Jan from Texas. Netflix or Amazon?
Netflix. Especially with Punisher starting last night at midnight.
Yes,
Netflix.
We like that. We also like Hulu. I like Hulu a lot.
Kelly, what's your preference?
I think Hulu. actually.
What? Why?
Actually, I have to be honest. I really haven't watched TV or film too much lately because I've just been so busy writing and creating. So.
Okay,
I'll tell you a good reason to watch.
But
Hulu.
you are aware there's a device called television.
I know.
Hulu has Future Man with our buddy Robert.
Robert Craighead.
Yes, Future Man with Josh Hutcherson. It's
Jeffrey B.
It's
Hulu or Netflix?
It depends on what I'm looking for.
Robert Craighead or Marvel?
I would probably have to go with Marvel.
Me too.
But for a lot of films and stuff like that, I would have to go with Netflix. As far as catching up on TV shows, I would probably want to go more with Hulu.
Although all the Marvel shows are on.
I agree.
Wait. Have you seen Defenders yet?
Not yet.
That's why God gave you Netflix.
Okay.
So
but I do want to see the Orphans.
So if
Orphan Black.
Yeah.
If
See,
you don't,
it's so bad.
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah.
if you
I
don't
cannot-
watch TV, do you read a lot?
Yes. I'm a
What do you
reader.
read,
I read
smartass?
too.
Read.
She is working on all her V.C. Andrews novels.
Like rereading my own book to publish.
Oh.
No, what is the one I'm reading?
She's
Oh,
plugging to this early in the show.
No, I swear I'm not.
well, I like her even more because she's got a big, thick, mad.
That's from the lobby, dum dum.
Okay.
She picked it up on the way in.
This just reminds me of like how simple life was, you know,
Yeah.
and how
Oh,
fun
yeah.
it was, and just like to laugh and not be so serious.
And two of my good friends are the
editors.
The head editors. Yeah.
Wow, Ficara and the
really?
other one, right?
Yeah, the usual gang of idiots.
I pitched
Yeah.
them in
Oh,
college. I
okay.
could never sell them.
Yeah. Joe Raiola and Charlie Cato.
Yes, KAIDU.
Kadau.
Yeah, well, close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But
Matt,
I went to college with Charlie, and Joe was at Adelphi when I was at Hofstra.
Ah,
Wow.
interesting.
No, who was your most famous classmate at Hofstra?
Me. Who was my most
Yay.
famous class? Well, I could tell you some people who went to Hofstra.
Sure, lay it on us.
Francis Coppola.
Wow, nice.
That's a
from,
nice one.
From Detroit, Michigan, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Laney Kazan. From
Lost in the Dust, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. But more importantly, she's the fat, panicky passenger in Chuck Norris's Delta Force.
Right.
Wow.
Now, as far as
Thank you.
as far
That
as
was a pull out of the air.
as far as close
A little
to,
lower.
yeah, as far as close to my age, only about 2 years ahead of me.
Abe
Was,
Vigoda? Sorry.
no, that was when dinosaurs ruled. the world. No, Robert Davi.
You knew Robert Davi. Robert Davi is Big Johnson from Die Hard.
Yes, I used to see Robert Davi when I would be going across the Unispan, which is the bridge on
Wow.
one side of Hempstead Turnpike to the other.
That's so commercially named.
Yes,
Mhm.
he would be coming.
Unispan.
He would be.
That was the
walking-
Verizon Unispan.
Yeah, but he would be walking on the other side of the Unispan singing opera.
Yeah, he was an opera singer, I heard.
Yeah.
I only knew him
Wow.
as the bad guy from Die Hard, and he's in one of the weaker James Bond movies. He's the bad guy in,
License to Kill.
Timothy Dalton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Although there's a guy eaten by a shark in the first 5 minutes, so it's not totally bad.
Well, that was
Felix Leiter, right? No, it was
Felix Leiter. Yeah.
yeah, they killed Felix Leiter in that one.
David Hedison.
And his wife, who was also fed to the same shark, is the chick from. It was Suzanne Summers' replacement, Jenny. Hang on, I got her. She's the three-boobed psychic from Mallrats.
Okay.
Wow.
Trust me on this one.
Now that's what I call trivia.
And
Sorry.
he went right to boobs. He didn't even think about
I went
anything else.
three.
Just boobs. Just all boobs. And then 3 of them. Wow. What?
so
One, two,
am
three.
I the only
Shortest distance
person,
between 2 points.
Am I the only person in the room that is from Southern California? I was born in Pomona and raised in Pomona.
Oh God, I'm so
Maybe.
sorry,
A
Dan.
world traveler.
His dad shot the last Indian and built a house.
Wait, Jeff, where are you from? I forgot.
I'm from
Arcadia, but he was
Arcadia.
born out of state.
Yes, I was born in Wilmington, Delaware.
His mother's
And
mother's
you'll be
water.
surprised.
Jeff's mother's water broke in the abortion clinic.
You'd be surprised how many adults say, Delaware, what state is that in? Well, didn't you learn about your 13 colonies in school?
Dover's the capital, isn't it? Or no?
No, it's
Not?
Wilmington.
Nice try, Showboat.
The whole state of Delaware is not even big as San Bernardino County. I mean,
Right. Smallest state? No, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Rhode Island.
Rhode
Island
Island.
is the
Rhode
smallest
Island
state.
is the smallest state, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are you-
Delaware second, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, no one knows. Wow, I feel. Oh.
I was a sub. You memorized enough
I
for the
was a
day to
sub.
get out of there.
I've always been geographically challenged.
Yeah, Patrick's
Me
from
too.
Michigan, so
That's how we know Michigan, the portable
Yeah.
Michigan road.
Not only
So,
that,
how do you feel about Michael Moore then?
You know what? I liked him at first. I think Roger and Me is brilliant. When he went into Michael Moore Incorporated and he grew the long hair and he kept the hat and he became 400 pounds, he became kind of a parody of himself.
Okay.
But if you look at when you look at Roger and Me, I thought that was very funny. And as a journalist, I have problems with it because he would fudge details to get the joke in there, which you can't do if you're serious about documentaries. But when he grew the long hair and he thought it was all about him, and he looked like your Aunt Gladys and drag and
Like a recluse, like
yeah.
like
Well,
a
he-
Larry Flint. No.
He always well, he was
Flint, Michigan, Larry Flint.
A
I
lot
don't
of
know.
Michigan papers went after him because I'm just a guy from Flint and he was living in a Manhattan penthouse. Michigan loves to call you on BS.
Right.
yeah,
They're real.
I remember when he interviewed Bob Eubanks, and he met Bob Eubanks on an airplane on an air flight to Los Angeles, and he said, "Tell me your best racist joke."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Bob Eubanks told him a racist joke, and
And he taped it.
he
yeah.
taped it, and he said, "Here's how racism is in the United States."
Wow.
So it made Bob Eubanks look. He was
Bob Eubanks.
But he was trying to make his name.
He was trying, you know.
He made his name at the expense. One of the things that he did that was pretty. No, go ahead, finish that, Dan. I'll tell you a story that he got sued over Roger and Me.
Wow.
There's a party where this is kind of an ugly story in Detroit, but it was covered in the Detroit news and everything. They go to a party where poor people are. Do you remember? It's one of the most infamous scenes. It's a Grosse Pointe millionaire, and he's having a party. And there's supposedly poor people playing slaves and stuff in the movie. You remember that? It's one of the big fundraisers. And so Moore used this and made it look like the evil, uncaring rich. But it was like a theme party they did every year to benefit inner city children's group. And he made the guy look bad. But what the guy who was raising millions for for this group in downtown Detroit, the guy was an attorney. So he sued and he sued and he won.
Surprise.
But there's no asterisk at the end of the movie saying this is what the party really was. There's a story about the president visiting a pizza parlor, and while he's there, they stole the cash register. It happened a week later, but he thought it would be funnier to make it that night. And with documentaries, you can't do that, but it's a very funny movie, you know. But what happened is the selective editing got, when he let himself go, when he was still wearing the fish hat and he was 400 pounds, and just Michigan
He loses
papers.
credibility
He
that
did.
way.
He did. I felt bad about that because I like to root for anyone from Michigan.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
He got unreal.
Yeah, but he became unreal. And once you're unreal in Michigan, you're nobody.
Totally.
Wow. I agree.
You know,
I don't have any respect for Roger Moore.
Roger Moore is the second best James Bond, mister. You watch your
I'm
mouth.
Sorry.
You mean Michael Moore?
Just kidding.
Michael Moore.
Roger Moore's been in the Great
James
Four.
Bond.
Yeah. Roger Moore's been in the damn Great 4 months. You can't even.
Yeah, he was a
You
great
unzip your
James
fly and
Bond.
water his grave.
Sean Connery, Roger Moore.
Hey,
I like Roger Moore
I
more
like-
as the Saint.
I liked Roger Moore was my James Bond. The first Bond I watched with my dad on the ABC Sunday Night Movie was a Roger Moore one. So that was James Bond.
And Veronica Carlson was with Roger Moore.
She did the same with him. Yeah, she talked about that on her Halloween show with
him.
Now, who played Jaws? And is he still
Richard Keel.
around?
Keel.
By the way, Richard Keel from Detroit, Michigan. And I will tell you that no, he's from Detroit.
All right.
They grow him big there, don't
I
they?
guess
They're growing big there.
You know what? Anytime that somebody says, "Oh, you like," it was horrible when you're like 13 with braces, and and I worked in a movie theater. Yeah, I wore a tie and all that, and so having braces, everyone goes, "Oh, it's Jaws," and it crushed me inside. But I did remember that Richard Keel is from. Thank you, little one.
But he was one of the nicest guys.
Extremely nice.
Is he still with us?
He
No,
passed
no.
about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
No, last year, because everyone ran shots of him crushing their head.
Yeah.
But he's in my book. He's in my second book. He was the first guy to play the Incredible Hulk. They wound up firing him halfway through the pilot because he didn't look at all. He was big, but he didn't have the mass they needed for the Hulk. So, and he said, when the best quote in my book, what you really need when you play the Incredible Hulk is a little Asian woman with a scrub brush.
Even if you're not playing the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Sounds good to me either way.
Yeah, right. Interestingly enough, I also know you know that there was a demi-Hulk?
Yes, Rick Drazen. He's in my book as well. He has his own chapter. You know Rick?
Wow.
I know Rick Drazen, yeah.
Okay, Rick is a great guy. What nobody knows about Rick, Rick, besides being the demi-Hulk, and Kenneth Johnson.
And a professional wrestler.
And professional wrestler. Well, you know how one of the worst stories, he was in a really terrible wrestling match. His calf got torn off. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
The guy tore his calf off during the match. Literally, people in the audience watched his calf on the back of his leg get torn open. Rick is this amazing guy. He was smaller than Lou, but bigger than Bixby. So there's an episode where the Hulk is stuck in mid-transformation, which, fun fact for those who haven't read...
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Fun fact for those who haven't read my 2-pound book, You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry, a Hulk Companion at your better bookstores and Amazon.
That's a great plug.
Thank you, sir.
Amazon's pretty tough though right now, I have to say. There's
and
a lot of scandal going on about that.
And I would know you're exactly right. And the worst part of all is if you're going to write a 2-pound book, don't put it out in the middle of a recession.
I know.
But what happened is that's the only episode of the series where Hulk talks. You know, Bill Bixby does the voice of the Hulk. Is the only episode of the series where he does nothing but growl. That's the only one where you hear him speaking. With Rick Drazen, one of the amazing things he did, one, he teaches self-defense classes.
Right.
So he made this anti-rape car key, which is, it looks like a smiling kitty. You'll never get it on an airplane.
That was him?
Yeah, that was him. And it's these two
Wow.
prongs that you can use against someone attacking you.
Wow,
Yeah.
anti-rape key.
Yeah, and it's kind of brilliant, actually. And the other thing he did, nobody knows this about him. He designed the Gold's Gym logo. The guy.
Yeah, and in fact, that's his head.
That's his head. The
He's
big
a
bald
bald
guy
guy.
holding up the
Barbell.
Yeah, that's him. He drew that, and the guy who ran Gold's Gym flipped out over it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great guy, by the way.
What did he say when the Hulk spoke? Oh, help Hulk, save Hulk. What? When
Move away. Get away.
Get
No,
away.
like, yeah, that sort of thing. It was the closest you came. It was from the 2-part episode Prometheus, which
Wow.
up until the thank you.
You're pretty amazing, I have to say.
That's why I want to
How
call
big
him
is
Wiki.
your brain?
I want to call him Wiki. That's why.
Up until that point, there had been no comic book trappings on the series. But with that, you had underground bases. You had the government conspiracies. It was the most comic book episodes of The Incredible Hulk up until that point. Even him being frozen mid-transformation. Another cool thing is Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby, the stunt guy, the guy who would turn into the Hulk and the guy who would do all the jumps and running for the Hulk, was an African-American guy, Manny Perry. And he had to go out to the Saugus Speedway. You California locals would know this. The Saugus Speedway, where Lou Ferrigno would run as the Hulk, they painted up Manny to make sure the undercoat, him being African-American versus Lou Ferrigno's white, make sure they looked the same in the green paint. And one of his first things, Perry tells this great story. He jumped barefoot out of a 747 and fell on camera. They wanted to show the Hulk jump out of the plane. He fell like 20 feet barefoot. And then they did one where he had to jump on the cement, like from 10 feet on top of a ladder and run across this blazing tarmac and knock down a fake fence. And it's amazing. I mean, when you look at that history there. But Drazen, you're right. Drazen was amazing. One of those guys, when you talk to him, he's done a little bit of everything. He's delved, the Gold's Gym logo, this, that. He's done, the body thing, the weightlifting, the wrestling. The guy's done a little bit of everything, so I was a little humbled. And again, the rape keychain thing, which I thought was really smart.
Wow, yeah.
Well, also, I take acting seminars at they up until very soon they are at in Ventura Boulevard in Studio City.
Oh, Christopher Gray or
no. It's at Jeremiah Comey Film Studio. And Rick Drayson would sometimes be a guest. The guy who conducts the seminar, his name is Rock Riddle, who's also a PR person. He's a public relations and...
Because of Rock Riddle, I was worried he was in adult filmmaking.
No, he's a professional wrestler.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I better watch my mouth then.
he has been in the business for quite a while, and he's the original Mr. Wonderful of professional wrestling.
Paul Orndorff, yeah, Mr. Wonderful.
Rowdy Piper.
He's from Florida. He was.
Rowdy
He's from
Piper,
Florida, yeah, isn't he?
What, no love for
Riddle?
Junkyard Dog?
Rock Riddle's originally
No, right?
I like Junkyard Dog.
Oh, North Carolina, yeah.
Those are the good old days. I loved wrestling.
I hated, as a kid though, I hated when wrestling was getting into Saturday mornings, when they were starting to push out cartoons to make room for wrestling.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Saturday
like
mornings
the-
were so good.
I like the Mexican wrestling where they wear the mask and stuff.
Oh, Santos.
Mil
Yeah.
Mascaras and Santos versus the vampire women, you know?
The Sheik. Who was the wrestler back in the Rowdy Piper days? Was it the Sheik who wore the mask?
Oh, yeah, the
Iron
Iron
Sheik.
Sheik.
Yeah,
Iron
Iron
Sheik.
Sheik.
Wow.
He had the mustache.
Junkyard Dog,
He
Andre
had
the Giant.
mustache like this.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look on Rock Riddle's Facebook page, he has his profile picture is a picture of him with Rowdy Piper.
What a nice, I met Piper a couple times, and he was the
Nice guy.
nicest guy you'd ever met.
Oh,
Well, he's
yeah.
Canadian. All Canadians. Even a Canadian
nice.
serial killer will be very polite. Not that Roddy was a serial killer, but he was a very sweet guy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And They Live. He didn't make that many movies, but if you did, one of them being They
Yeah.
Live, amazing.
That's a classic. That is a
Amazing.
classic.
That movie will outlast everything. It's so smart and so ahead of its time, and it was so criminally ignored when it came out.
Yeah.
You know?
So let me ask you this: if I decided to get into acting,
Yes.
just being an average, I mean, my hair's short, I shave every day.
No, you don't.
Put that in your resume. Everyone else does.
Special skill.
Special skill.
I have special skills. I shave
Shaving
every
every
day.
I'm your average, middle-aged man. How would I get into acting?
Well, with that attitude, you
Get
won't.
Meisnered. Go to Stanford Meisner
First
school.
of all, if you want to be an actor, don't let them catch you at it.
No.
Don't act.
Don't
Be.
act. Just yeah. You have to
Don't
get to
act
your,
B. I remember that.
That's right.
Well, I've done
one of my-
stand-up, so
Yeah.
Give me a joke. I hate when people say that
I
to me.
hate that. When
You
people
might wanna-
say,
I-
"Oh,
because
you
I-
stand up
Oh my
funny
God! Did you
joke."
hear about the gay midget?
Speaking
He
of
just came out
stand,
of the cupboard.
you performed at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us
wow.
about that.
Yes.
I took that big poster and I posted it on Facebook.
Oh, I know. I saw that one. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that was the one. I was like, oh, why did I put that picture on there?
Tell us all about that day.
No.
What
Yeah,
happened
I wanna
there?
hear
No,
about that.
I just been performing there for like about the last 2.5 years, and building my little fan base. And I was like, wow, 20 people came this time. Whoa.
Oh,
But
man.
no, it's just I love stand-up comedy. I just don't like all the stuff around it, which is a little bit crazy. It's just fun because you get to really just be, like in the moment and be like interacting with people, and
Is this
people
the
are
one on
laughing.
Sunset, right? Is that the only place
Yeah.
Is that the only comedy store there is?
No.
There's the Laugh Stop and all that. I went to the Comedy Store for the 40th anniversary as a guest of Tim Thomerson. And it was weird to see when Seinfeld showed up and everything, the roof blew off. But you would just see all these stand-up guys running each other after all these years. It was amazing to watch. You know?
Yeah, it's
What
fun.
what do you got to go? What do you got to audition there or what? How do you get a gig there?
Well, just this one guy, Vargas Mason. He was on Last Comic, I think. He saw me and just asked me if I wanted to do some shows, and so he's just been doing some shows, and of course, people come to see me, so that always helps. But yeah, it's just
Always a
fun.
good
I
thing.
just like you said, like having so many different things, like. I'm trying to concentrate. It's like that's a whole thing. Like, so if it's comedy or acting, it's like twins. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I keep saying that, you know what I mean? And I hate when people say that. It's like, are you listening to me?
I
Are
hear
you?
you. I hear you.
Right.
I hear you.
When you do acting, you could actually, retake a scene. You could,
On film or on television.
yeah, it's on film, But when you're live on stage trying to make people laugh, there's a lot of pressure on you.
Well, you also get instant critique.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, you do.
It's
If
a
they
scary
don't
thing.
laugh,
But you
they
just
don't
stay
like
real.
you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe so I need to work on that. You know, if someone's not laughing. I mean, I think like I feel like I always just have fun. I don't really like I need to make them laugh. You know, I don't ever go into that because it's just kind of about being real anyway. Comedy.
That's
you
almost
know?
like auditioning.
Yeah.
Your job to audition is not to get the job. Your job is to show them your take on the character as best as you can. Just
Right.
like in comedy, your job is not to make them laugh. Your job is to be you, and the funny
Connect.
things come out of it.
Yeah, and I think like just connect to like the realness of what is funny. You know what I mean? Like their mustache, Jeff. Mustache.
Mustache.
Yeah, like
What
my-
made you make? What made? I have a quick question for you because
Okay.
ever since I saw your picture, I'm like, I wonder what goes on in his head about why he wanted his mustache. Like
Actually, the gay porn producer asked him to grow it.
Well, I always hated mustache. I always made fun of people in school back when I was in school, and those truckers would wear mustache ride 50 cents, you know, and I just hated that.
Jeff charged
stupid
a quarter.
shit. And I accident. My intention was about a year and a half ago. I started growing a beard just out because I was ready to do the Renaissance Fair, and I wanted to look authentic and, you know, go as in-
Renaissance-y.
and grow it out. And I never made it to that Renaissance Fair that year. And I kept it going, and I just started lifting up and shaving underneath, and then it started growing and doing the snidely whiplash
Now
thing.
it's,
And
now
I
it's
said,
more like Salvador Dali.
I know, that's why I'm like, wow, hello,
me being an
Jeff.
artist.
Hello, Dolly. Hello, Dolly.
I was actually going to wear my Dolly shirt today.
Wow. Would you have one?
Right.
Melting cocks or the one of him like this?
Salvador
And,
Dali.
and then
It's
I
just
thought
his-
I would, you know, further my characters out with, you know, with the mustache stuff. Oh, shut up. I said, man, I would like to do a film or a character, a renaissance of, you know,
Because my
Shakespeare or something.
There you
in
go.
my film Getting Meisnered, the teacher has like he was just going through a rough time in his life, and so he like grew out his mustache and he has the thing. And like the other night when we were screening, it's like when he came on, the whole school like started laughing at that
Oh,
character, and I was
no.
like, wow, that's a first, you know. But it was great because it was like, oh, it was like Luigi,
Yeah.
Mario Brothers, you
Oh,
know.
well, we got the reference. You didn't have to preface it with
No.
Mario Brothers.
I know, I'm like, I know, 'cause you have a big brain.
You're in a building. You're a building full of nerds, girl. We got it.
Yeah, I've got art. There's some of my artwork right
By the way,
there.
you see that?
That's his
Dan,
rehab
I've
art.
got art.
Dan painted that with his own excrement.
All you got to do is call in.
And Art is going to be the next guest.
Dan, what
Okay,
did you,
for the
Mark
next, for the
Garfunkel.
25th caller gets this.
Dan, what did you paint that with?
Is that the one right there to all
Yeah.
my friends?
Yeah.
Oh. What is it holding a like a lopsided
No,
balloon?
He painted with it with excrement.
Brown and
I-
green-
I-
brown
What
and
the
red.
hell's going on there?
I slit my wrist and I tried to commit suicide.
Oh,
back,
bummer.
See, he killed
My
the
film
last-
talks
ago.
about suicide too.
And
Getting Meisnered. Acting in Hollywood.
on stage. What happened to that empathy you were talking about?
Is that a crescent
No one-
moon, or is that the blood coming out of your wrist or bottle? Or?
it's a little bit of both.
Is that a brown cloud instead of a
Yeah.
black cloud over
Yeah.
I
you?
thought it was painted with
It's a
poop.
brown
A shit
cloud.
storm's
giant
approaching.
turd. It's a giant turd.
That's how the world looked at Dan back then. That's why it was so grim.
We got a
Yeah,
brown
my-
sun too.
My
Wow.
world was pretty dark back then.
Dan
Wow.
only had Hulu.
So funny.
State capital.
That's,
Sure.
that's my kitchen sink because I
Wow.
slit my wrist in the kitchen.
That's
Wow.
very helpful.
I'm scared.
That kind of
Can I have another coffee?
after he slit his wrist, his kitchen
Why
got
don't you trade it for a John Wayne Gacy?
Hey, hold on, my joke is on first. After
Lorena
he,
Bob is coming to my mind.
after he slit his wrist, his kitchen.
Long Island.
Shut up! I'm trying to tell a joke here. After he slit his wrist, his kitchen got a D.
Yeah, the windup is it's if you're the 25th caller, you get this. Now on 24, people are going to say, "Are you going to call? No. Are you going to call? No."
Would you like more
I'm
coffee?
not going to call.
Sure.
No, you
Okay.
I love
Sorry,
it.
I'm gonna cut myself.
So where are those the cameras up there?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Yeah, look.
One in each corner.
Okay, one.
2.
Okay, cool.
God,
This
we're
is a-
on camera.
this is
It's
a
gonna
great
be on
studio.
YouTube real soon.
Okay.
Kelly.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, your brain's not that big. Just kidding. I know, I'm only kidding. I'm a comic, remember?
Hey,
comedian, sorry, not comic.
Don't make a mess, too. Don't be getting Dan in trouble all the time.
Aw.
Why don't you make your own coffee, bitch?
Aw.
I'm the guy that gets in trouble all the time. Ask Jeff, he knows.
But actually, it's so funny that you mentioned suicide. It's like, so it's becoming like way more popular now. Like a lot of the kids like in school are just like, just drink bleach, you know? I'm just like, wow. Or like, why don't you just die? Or, you know, like just. So it's like, it's actually kind of good. No one really talks about it, you know.
Well, they can only do it once.
I know. But it's so final. Your feeling is one thing, but, you know, suicide's kind of final. So that's why dialogue is important. That's why it's good that you guys have this talk show.
In this world of video games, they don't seem to realize that, no, they can't reboot and get another life.
Yeah.
This is it.
And rape is not a good idea. Because, the video games are really tough. I just actually was a judge at a film festival for social justice, and they had this whole thing about video games. This one girl did, and it's just like, you know, they're also like contacting each other outside the video games. You know what I mean? So she, you know what I mean? Please stop saying that. God, please help me. You know, so they would end up interacting outside of, you know, the video game, and then it got like really like, you know, terrible, violent. She got, you know, not raped, but almost. And so there's this big push now to, I mean, how did that get to be that way? You know what I mean? How did that get to be that way? I don't understand. It's like, who said, yes, that's a good idea? I don't really quite understand why.
They're looking for kicks.
But rape kicks?
Yeah, well, you know.
Power.
It escalates. After a while, what used to really get them excited doesn't anymore. So they have to go
more.
They have to go further and further and further.
Yeah, for me, when I slit my wrist, it was an FU to my wife. Because I was a drinker, and I don't drink anymore. But I tried to detox on my own, which is a bad idea. You have to go to a hospital and detox.
Absolutely.
And so I tried, and then I couldn't sleep. So then I went and bought beer, and she saw me drinking beer, and I'm like, you know what? I got to sleep. I need a couple beers, you know? And she goes, well, I'm calling Kurt Ross. I'm calling this person. She goes, I'm calling your mom, your dad, telling them that you're all drinking again. Now I'm going to call Blaine. And Blaine was the morning host, and I was the co-host.
Owner of the station.
Owner of the station. I go, you're not going to call Blaine. She goes, yeah. And she grabbed my phone from me to get his number. And I said, go ahead, call Blaine. And I took a knife because I'm a chef. So I have a very...
I'm a chef.
I took a freaking machete, man.
Yeah, I have a very good knife set. And I just said, you know what?
Anyone
call whoever you want.
Do not try this at
Blood
home.
all over the place. I mean, the blood squirts out of your veins like crazy, you know, and it's like
Monty Python in the Holy Grail.
Yeah, it's like
just a flesh wound.
Yeah,
I'll bite your legs off.
Tis but a flesh wound. And, but yeah, no.
It's a morning
but she's
show.
like,
there's no you.
On to the lighter side of life.
Here.
She's like, now I have to call 911, you asshole.
Oh.
I'm like, well.
Well, good thing you had her. Lovely that we have ladies in the world.
And here he is, still speaking,
And
still
I'm
going.
still here.
And he
Making
goes.
paintings and all.
He goes to.
It's a-
He's a speaker at a rehab place. He goes
It's
to.
a good thing it wasn't a Ginsu.
Nice.
Yeah, that.
The Ginsu days.
Yeah.
That would have done
the
nothing.
first infomercial,
against
right?
me.
He might have had a prosthetic hand.
It can julienne fries.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
do,
we're glad that you're here, and we're glad you have a good wife. What's her name?
Rhonda.
Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
That was appropriate at that time. That was appropriate at that time.
No,
Well,
I mean,
actually, it's good that you're talking about it, even though it's like scary and it's probably morning time and everything. But no one really talks about it because they feel like afraid or people are going to judge. Oh, okay, sorry.
Dan,
Stop.
no, my life is pretty much an open book, and
Right.
No, after I slipped my wrist, I passed out, and I was on the floor on the kitchen, just bleeding all over the place. And my wife called the ambulance, and they came and got me. And
Wow.
and you know, the
Powerful.
paramedics were there, the police came. And what's funny is they took me into emergency, and they cleaned,
Oh, thanks.
you know, my wrist, and I could see my bones.
Ah, stop!
Pass the croissant.
One more
And the
croissant,
jelly.
please. Croissant, check, please.
Let's talk about life.
The funny thing is,
Can you hold up
Yeah,
your
well,
wrist?
The
Can we see
funny
your
thing
wrist?
is,
What
get
was
to
the
the
funny-
funny thing,
What was the
please.
funny thing about cutting your own wrists in the kitchen?
No, the
scar is
funny
really
thing
cool.
Is I woke up and there's security guards all around my room. I had two outside and one right by my bedside. I'm like, look at my wife. I'm like,
Help me,
Rhonda, I know I'm
Help me,
somewhat
Rhonda.
famous. Okay, I've done PBS. I've done one movie.
PBS was
I
a stripper.
did a
PBS was
radio
a stripper out of
show.
Fontana.
And she goes, they're not here to protect you from your fans. They're here to protect you from you. I'm like,
Wow, you're on 72-hour lockdown.
Which
Yeah,
leads to the
it
inner
was.
child healing that I've been working on. Your inner critic is really alive and well.
Oh, yeah.
Archetypes.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
I gotta
yes.
respect that cook who tries to do himself in the kitchen, though. That's
Interesting. Mad. Let's go to Mad now.
yeah, boy, boy.
That's so funny.
Snappy answers
Yeah.
to stupid questions.
Actually, the later
Let's open to a random page.
actually, it would be Dave Barry's the later sign of suicide.
That would be Dave Berg.
Dave Berg, that's what I meant.
The
Sorry.
lighter side.
Remember,
Yeah.
Dave Berg, when my brothers and I were reading it as kids, he was still drawing hippies, even though hippies haven't been around for years. Because Dave Berg had kids in the house during the hippie era.
Yeah. And he
So-
always drew himself, too.
Yeah, with the
pipe,
meerschaum pipe and
The
short
glasses
sleeve,
and the salt and pepper short hair.
the,
Yeah.
the tie and the short sleeve button work shirt.
Yeah.
We would be reading this in the Reagan era, and my brother's like, "Why does this guy have a hippie son?" And it's the '80s.
And I was thinking
Oh,
of Reagan
do
on the
it.
way here today, actually.
Well,
Yeah. Ronald
I
Reagan.
met Dave
80s.
Berg. He was in-
Really?
Yeah. He did a talk at Hofstra. And
Did he go there?
No, but Charlie did.
Uh,
But when Dave Berg walks out, it's like, I've seen this face before. Sure, it's in the lighter side of.
Yeah, he was drawing himself.
And
A famous mad
yeah,
writer
but,
artist.
Yeah, and then during the interview, he said, "Oh yeah, my family is in the audience." The family stood up. They're all in the
hippie, the
comic.
wife, the
They were
daughter.
all there, yeah.
Wow.
They were all there.
Wow. Yeah, Dave Berg, man, he was a great artist, and you could tell he was drawing himself.
Yeah.
But it was always the hippie bum son, the preening daughter, and then the whining daughter.
So is this an actual person then?
No.
Okay.
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah.
He's based on he's based on poster art they found, I think, from the 18th century.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but sadly I never read for Mad.
Actually, my
Still
first,
can.
Yeah.
my first ex-father-in-law.
My first, hate when I have a
Drew
first
from Mad.
ex-father-in-law.
Please don't tell me you were married to the daughter of. I'm trying to think his name. Mort Drucker. Not
No,
Mort-
no. Jack Kamen.
The EC Comics artist.
Yep.
That was your father-in-law?
That was my ex-father-in-law.
Is he
yeah.
still with us?
No. He died, I think, about 5 years ago.
There, one of the great stories about him, Terry Black, Shane Black's older brother, the guy who wrote and directed Iron Man 3, created Lethal Weapon. He adapted a bunch of old EC comics, and he adapted. There was one of those junky little stories called Cayman's Calamities, and it was Jack Kamen would do this cartoon where he's chased around by monsters for like 4 pages, just a filler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they had him played by the guy from Night Court, the judge from Night Court,
Harry Anderson.
Harry Anderson. And Terry Black took the story and thought it'd be funny, Cayman's Calamities, and he decided it would be because Jack Kamen is impotent. and they heard from Jack Kamen when he saw the script. And they changed it to do, I think they changed it to Corman's Calamities with a K.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, because Jack Kamen had plenty to say about making him impotent and full of.
Yeah, my favorite in Mad Magazine growing up, because I bought it like every week, was...
or every month, because it was monthly.
I still buy it every week. I buy old issues and stuff. Was Spy versus Spy.
Antonio Prohias.
That was so funny. That was the page I just opened to.
Wow. Of course, every third page in that is Spy versus Spy.
Oh, okay.
If you notice, under Spy versus Spy, you see the Morse code. That's Morse code for by Prohias.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let me tell you.
Great fact.
Yeah.
When you met your wife, your first wife, did you know her dad was an EC Comics artist?
No, I found that out a little bit later on. Turns out she went to
Hofstra?
Went to Hofstra for a little bit, and when I first met her, I was demonstrating in department stores. I was demonstrating life height kitchen appliances.
Oh no, this marriage was doomed.
So I met her. I was living in Manhattan. She was living in Washington, D.C., and we met at Bloomingdale's in Garden City, Long Island.
This sounds like a terrible rom-com.
Yeah, but...
were you reaching for the same gloves?
No, I was demonstrating, and she was there. She was getting a gift for an event, a family event, and I looked at her and I said, "This may sound like a line, but it isn't. But why do you look familiar?"
He used that on all his wives.
How many were there?
There were 2.
6.
Oh, okay.
But as it turns out,
Starter marriage.
The other 4 disappeared.
But as it turns out, it was legit because she dated a friend of mine at Hofstra. And I found out later on that her father was Jack Kamen.
Wow.
And her brother is Dean Kamen, inventor of the Segway.
Oh, wow. But let me ask you this. When you knew the marriage was heading for the rocks, did you pull out all your ECs to have him sign them before?
No.
Dad, could you sign these?
He did give me, and it's somewhere in storage, in one of my storage units. I have a signed poster by him of Creepshow.
Wow. Yeah, he drew the Creepshow poster.
Yeah.
That's Stephen King's son, Joe, on the poster.
He also drew the comic book art in the movie.
Oh, yeah, because the comic book itself was drawn by
garbage and the wind.
Yeah.
That was great animation right there.
That's Joe Hill, now a best-selling author, the son of Stephen King. And what's funny is because when they did the comic, Kamen was older and didn't have time to draw the book, so they got Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful comic.
Who I met also. I got to meet Bernie, and I said to him, "Thank you for the work."
Wow.
Because he and Len Wein co-created Swamp Thing.
Oh, that's right, which you guessed it on.
Which I guessed it on, yeah.
Bernie was my second interview at the San Diego Comic-Con ever. Back in the wild 90s when I went with Jeff.
Yeah.
Bob Burden, the creator of Flaming Carrot, was my first, and he was my second. And just when you look at Swamp Thing, you're right. You worked with Dick Durock, man. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know, because I got Dick at I met him at a party. I know that sounded terrible.
I'm already always listening.
I got Dick, even when she's sexting, she's like, I got Dick in a Burbank backyard. But I met him at the Creature from the Black Lagoon's funeral. So.
Goes so many places. I got Dick. I got Dick. Or I got Dick.
Well, but it was the Creature from the Black Lagoon's funeral, so it's only appropriate Swamp Thing was there. The Creature from the Black Lagoon's son, Ben
Stiller.
Ben.
Although you worked with Ben Stiller's mother.
That would be.
Say it again. I look like Ben
you
Stiller.
worked with Ben.
Okay. I was like, I look like Ben Stiller's
No.
mother.
That would be
I
Ann
thought
Mira.
Emma Thompson was terrible.
No, not Ann Mira. I'm sorry.
Ben Chapman.
She worked with George Costanza's mother.
Okay.
On Svetlana when you played Svetlana.
Oh yeah. That's right. Actually, yeah.
But
that was pretty interesting.
Wow. No, you still are.
And the creature was Ben Chapman.
Ben Chapman, an amazing guy.
Yeah, he was the creature on the land.
Yeah, but the creature on the land is the one that did all the business.
Yeah.
The guy underwater is working with the stunt doubles.
Yeah,
and that was
Rico Browning.
Very good. Rico Browning was sitting all day on the set of Revenge of the Creature. And he's sitting at Marineland all day in Florida, listening to how smart the dolphin is. He was watching Lassie make all the money, and he thought, what if we did Lassie with a fish? He co-created Flipper.
Yeah.
With Ivan Tors.
Wow.
He made so much money, he never had to play the creature again, which he did, though, in Creature Walks Among Us.
Yeah.
I know because the star of Creature Walks Among Us, I dated his secretary in college, and then,
John.
No.
Wow,
Rex
things are
Reason.
coming out.
Rex Reason.
Okay.
Rex Reason was a big developer in Diamond Bar. I had this amazing looking secretary I met, and he would every time I call for her, you'd have to go through. Hi, I'm Rex Reason, and I ain't teasing.
God.
Every time, is Jackie there? Every time you get up, and the terrible thing is, I had still do a giant Creature Walks Among Us poster, much better than the movie, beautiful poster. And I had Rex's number, and I kept thinking, I got to interview him one of these days, put it off. He dropped dead on me. That's the worst thing when you're interviewing classic people. I put it off. He died.
Interesting. So I got stuck back on When Your Marriage Was on the Rocks.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
the female perspective here, guys.
Yeah,
Don't forget
no.
there are women listening, probably more than men, because there's so many more women now, isn't there? I don't know.
You see, every male listening wants to hear more about his father-in-law drawing EC comics, but the girl in the room wants to hear about your marriage on the rocks.
I want to give some help to the men out there.
Well,
What was it?
My ex-wife wanted me to give up show business and become a banker. So
Oh,
How
she didn't appreciate
dull
you.
Did you tell her-
boring.
Did
She
you
wanted
tell her-
money.
Put your shillings
Show
in
me
the
the
bank.
money.
Well, her father was a comic book artist. She probably grew up broke.
No more art.
Yeah,
no more
yeah.
artists.
No more artists.
No more
can
puppets.
barely
What did she do?
balance my checkbook.
Right, me neither.
She was the branch manager of temporary help companies, and now she's in insurance.
Oh my God. how
Were
boring.
you doing?
It's pretty damn
Corporate,
boring,
yeah.
Jeff. Yeah.
Were you up doing doing the Jim Henson, the Muppets back then when you were married to her?
Let's see. The first thing I did was Muppets Take Manhattan.
Oh, I love Muppets Take Manhattan.
That was.
I love how you say
I
Manhattan.
love Rainbow Connection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Someday we'll find it.
That's in all three of the movies, though. That's in the first one, right? Kermit
love
sings
her.
that in the first one.
No, no, that was
Beautiful.
No.
That was before.
One was Muppets Take Manhattan. I think was before, because I was married to her in '87.
Ironically,
You
the
know what
same year
actually
as...
got me really upset about the Muppets now that like Kermit and Miss Piggy are getting divorced. Like what?
What? You can't have
Like,
puppets.
really?
Puppets don't get divorced.
Like, what now? She's probably like tramping around with like
Well,
Bert
Kermit-
and Ernie.
The last one they did is
Meets
Kermit,
another female frog over a pig.
Snuffleupagus, baby.
Kermit went full on Chris Brown.
Oh God.
And the Muppets at Disney World was after. So.
What did
That
you
was
do
in
on that?
90.
What did you do
He's
on that?
a puppeteer. He's a Muppeteer. He worked for Jim Henson.
The Muppet. And
Wow.
I
Tell her
also-
about that.
And I,
Not
but I
everybody
also,
can say they're a
but I also-
puppeteer.
Well, I was one of the background puppeteers, and I had another contract on that where I was a pet care attendant, and I throw a butterfly net over Ralph. So I have a scene.
Oh,
with
on
Jim
camera
I think I
yourself.
remember you now.
Wow.
I think I was
yourself.
7. You're ringing a bell now.
All your dreams,
the
all
beard's throwing me off.
all your dreams can come true. Now, were you ever yelled at by Jim Henson in a Muppet voice? Because that would be hurtful.
Well,
Did Kermit
I
the Frog
wasn't.
ever-
I wasn't yelled at, and I was not directed by Jim. I was directed by Rolf.
Wow.
And wait, is Jim Henson like a good guy or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He
Sweetheart
said,
of a guy.
"Hey, pull your head out of your ass and get back to work."
No, actually.
Take this butterfly net.
No, the thing was, we shot the scene at the Magic Kingdom, at the entrance to the Magic Kingdom where they have the pet care center, where all the dogs and cats and pets are. And I had to stand behind a glass door, and Jim, as Rolf, comes into the scene, and he goes, "Hey, they got a pet care center here. Maybe they can help me." And I'm supposed to come out, but I couldn't hear through the glass door.
Hey, wake your ass up and get over here and do your scene.
Dumbass.
So
Hey,
finally,
numbnuts.
finally, the floor manager waves me in,
Working today, asshole.
and Rolf looks at me. Rolf looks at me,
Oh.
and he says, you know, I'm just kind of standing around here. You want to come in a little earlier? I said, yes, sir.
Did he throw in
looking at Rolf.
Sure.
Did he throw in a jackass?
No, he would never do that. But he, you know, I was directed by Rolf, and I said,
Wow.
I need a visual cue because otherwise I can't hear you. He goes, give the kid a visual cue, will
Wow.
you? He talked as Ralph.
As
He
Ralph.
stayed in
Everything
character.
through the character.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
I did, and
There's
through
a
the
net.
butterfly net.
But if he fired you, what do you, this is what I've been waiting to ask you since the Halloween show. If he fired you or someone else, would he fire them as Rolf? Get your ass out of here. Replace
In
this
character?
guy. That's what I want to know. I want to
Well,
know.
you know, one of the outtakes for the Muppets at Walt Disney World, at the very beginning of it, you see Michael Eisner, who was then head of Disney.
Right, the terrifying
and,
Michael.
And they, all the Muppets and surrounding Michael Eisner at the Grand Floridian, and
Nice.
he would do his little spiel, and he kept screwing it up. Eisner would say, hello, I'm Michael Eisner, and I'm here at the Gland. I said Gland. And he's doing all of this, and finally, Fozzie goes, okay, who else can we get?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't do Fozzie, but
I know the guy who used to shoot. I crashed the Alma. They had this Mormons in film thing. And even though I'm not Mormon, a friend said, hey, if you want to hear the best Hollywood advice, we crashed Alma, which was like a Mormon film group. And all these Mormon guys would tell you how the industry worked, basically. And one of the guys there was the guy who would shoot the interstitials with Michael Eisner for all the Disney, the ABC Disney Night movie. You know, and he would talk about endless takes of Michael Eisner screwing up, and everyone would laugh because Michael Eisner was so powerful. Sorry.
Imagineering.
I mean,
the show, Dad.
Imagineering.
there was one where he got, there was one take where he goes, "Hello, I'm Michael."
Wow.
And he said, "All right, cut." I mean, he even got his name wrong. So
How did they? So what was your signal to come in? Your visual.
Move it, asshole.
no, the first AD would gesture to me, and then I would enter, and I would say, "Excuse me, who's your owner?" And Rolf would go, "Owner? I have no owner, sir.
That's a great voice.
But perhaps you can help me. You see, the Walt Disney World is such a big place. I don't know what to do with all this incredible freedom." And that's when I throw the butterfly net.
And cuts off Rolf. No, in the unedited version, he cuts off Rolf's nuts. What are you doing?
It got in the way of the puppeteer.
He has a cone at the ending and he's crying.
That's pretty cool, though.
He was.
I just imagine you're like Tombstone puppeteer.
No.
Actor slash puppeteer slash.
Not puppeteer.
all of a sudden
Muppeteer.
the hand-
Muppeteer.
Muppeteer.
The head comes up from the grave.
Muppet.
He's had his hand up the ass of some of the
yeah.
greatest Muppets in the world.
Well, the
I
Muppets-
missed the two old guys in the balcony.
Oh, Statler and Waldorf?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
so
well,
fun.
That was Jim Henson and Richard Hunt.
Wow.
Richard Hunt was Statler, the lantern-jawed one.
Yeah.
And Waldorf, the one with the mustache, that was Jim Henson.
Really?
That's
Oh.
so cool. That's a good little trivia fact. to
And
put in
I
your
loved
brain.
I loved their vaudeville
And
jokes.
ours.
I'll never forget it.
My favorite Statler and Waldorf exchange was Waldorf would say, "Hey, I got a new hearing aid. Cost me $4.50. Really? What kind is it? Oh, about $11:45 to 12.
Now, did Siskel and Ebert come after them?
Yes.
Oh, is that you think
Siskel
their
and
idea? Like,
Ebert-
wow, we should do that.
Siskel and Ebert came out, I think, in '78, whereas
Oh.
the
Really?
Muppet Show debuted in '76.
So
Oh,
the
okay.
Muppets, though, originally started with Sesame Street. Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Well, he was
Not
trying.
Before that,
I like it.
He was trying to be naughty
Oh,
with
really?
them. He
Before
tr-
that?
the Muppets, one of the original Jim Henson puppets was a full body puppet, and it was for a series of commercials for La Choy Chow Mein.
Wow.
Wow.
There was a dragon who talked a little bit like Rolf.
Wow.
The La Choy dragon. Yeah, he was one of the.
So
I
what?
did-
He
I
was
did
just
not
like, I
know
love
that.
puppets, and he was just making all these puppets and sounds, and then
Rolf
That's
was on the
interesting.
Jimmy Dean show.
But
Jimmy Dean.
The Sausage Man, yeah.
he actually had a
Sausage. Jimmy Dean. Hi, I'm Jimmy Dean. He would sing a song.
What was interesting though is they tried to do naughty Muppets on the early age of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And they said guys like Jim Belushi hated the Muppets because he was trying to be raunchy. He was trying to be edgy. He didn't know where he was going with it yet.
Yeah.
What he eventually did is he did the Muppet Show, which was funny without being raunchy. When he was on the first year of Saturday Night Live, he was trying to be dirty. And it was kind of like your grandfather trying to tell a dirty
crazy
joke.
uncle.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
work. It's no, wrong venue. It
It's like
doesn't
Uncle
work.
Jim,
Yeah.
we're not interested in dirty Muppets.
No.
And John Belushi and the rest of them hated him because he was taking up camera time, basically.
Yeah.
With
So,
Muppets.
yeah.
Dirty
so
Muppets.
They got the Muppets fired. Yeah, dirty Muppets.
And then it wound up on a Broadway stage called Avenue Q.
I know.
Well,
It was
Avenue-
a great show. That was one of my
was, yeah.
favorite shows.
Yeah, it's a brilliant.
So
Avenue
cool.
Q is brilliant.
Period.
I was gonna. One of my friends co-wrote it, so I was gonna mention
Oh,
him.
really?
but
You don't
it-
like him anymore?
No. But you know what I
He's a
mean.
dick.
No. He also had a hand in Book of Mormon, so no, he's a very cool dude.
Was that a pun?
It was not
He
a
didn't
pun.
mean it. It's that big brain again.
But thank you.
hand.
Acting up.
But I mean,
pun
I'd
side.
asked, when he wrote the play, Gary Coleman was alive, and I used to tease him about that. And he said he saw Gary Coleman once, and he wanted to ask him, but he wasn't sure if he took it the right way, so he didn't say anything.
What you talk about, Willis? That? No,
Yeah.
that Gary
Yeah,
Coleman?
yeah.
I'm thinking. I thought you said Gary Oldman. So
No,
sorry.
Gary Coleman.
Let's decipher those.
The weird thing about Gary Coleman is my brother Donald and I were in Burbank. You know, we had an audition, and we were bopping around till traffic went down. There was a train store in Burbank, and my brother loves trains, and we're in the store, and it's us and Gary Coleman.
Wow.
And Gary
Interesting.
Coleman, yeah, and,
Hey, Gary.
well, you know what? I decided not to say anything to him. I just wanted to observe him.
Right.
So Gary Coleman takes it up to the clerk, who's like 18, has no idea who the hell he is. And he goes, hey, and whatever, he was buying like $40 in toy trains and or $50. And he's like, hey, do you have a celebrity discount? And the kid goes, sir, do we have a celebrity discount? And then the guy in the train store is up on a ladder, and he looks down and he sees Gary Coleman, and
What you talking about?
and he goes,
What you talking about, Willis?
the look of sadness on his face at seeing Gary Coleman wanting a celebrity discount. He goes,
Sure.
yeah. He goes, we got that 4% celebrity discount. And he goes, 4% celebrity discount for the celebrity. And Gary Coleman had a look of triumph on his face. And, and then the pity from the manager on the ladder was just.
You felt it. You
Just
empathized.
It was palpable.
You
Empathized
empathized.
in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. Not as
What?
good-
What does that mean?
Did Gary Coleman pass, or is he?
Yeah.
Gary,
he
no,
died.
long
Yeah.
past. I'll tell you guys.
Oh,
sir,
how old was he when he died?
He fell down the stairs.
Oh, he did?
At the tail end of a bad marriage. So
Another
it was always
marriage on the
wondered.
rocks.
It was always well, on the stairs apparently. That was the big
Wow.
question: whether or not Gary fell or if he slipped
Wow. He's
Or-
not married and
or
I'm
got
not.
pushed.
What?
or got pushed.
Oh,
It's
wow.
been a couple of years now, right?
Yeah.
When we're off the air, I'll tell you the greatest story about me and Dana Plato, but I can't tell it on the air.
Whoa.
Yes. But,
Well, she went a little off the different strokes kind of
I've got a
side,
great
right?
story for you, but we have to wait till we're off the air.
Yeah, I
Plato.
had a major crush on her in junior high.
I think everyone
You're going to
did,
want to hear
right?
the story then. I'll tell you off the air. It's a good story, though. Well,
Okay.
Elder Pal was
You're
there.
teasing the listeners,
I
I have
am,
to tell you.
But I have to tell
The guys
listeners-
are like, what
You're
the
going to get a
hell?
lot more call-ins after the show.
Dana
Well, I
Plato.
was-
Fantasy with Dana Plato.
You know, Dana
Actual
Plato
reality.
always looked hot. Even in her mug shots, she looked crazy hot.
Oh yeah, robbing the video store.
Yeah,
VHS videos, man.
Yeah, and she was working at like a dry cleaner.
She
in
robbed it in the
Vegas.
same strip mall. She walked 2 doors down to rob the dry cleaner and then walked back to the video store she was working at.
What was she like? What on what? What was her?
Drugs.
I know,
Yeah, it was
like
like-
drugs.
She
I'm
was
like,
on
which
meth, I
one?
think.
Meth.
Probably meth.
That's a tough one, meth.
You know,
I never was like, maybe that would be cool.
Yeah.
Let me just try some meth once.
What was weird? In the
Scary.
when I was in college, meth had just hit San Bernardino. I went to Cal State San Bernardino in the Inland Empire, And there was
Poor
this
thing.
but there was this beautiful girl working at the this AM/PM gas station where I'd buy my gas, and she just looked beautiful. And then it was like one of those time-lapse photography of a dead cat, you know, where you see it break down. Then she'd have like dark
Black
circles under her
circles.
eyes, and then she started.
Having her bones started getting bigger. on
In
her
2 months, well, yeah,
She started looking like a
she got
skeleton a little
bigger.
bit.
She got gaunt, and
skull-like.
she'd have teeth like Indian corn, and it was meth. It was because what would
At least it's
happen?
not candy corn.
Yeah, but
Don't
what,
like candy corn.
Yeah, candy corn. You always
Like, who
knew.
likes candy corn?
You know, if you're giving out candy corn on Halloween, just turn out your porch light. Nobody wants it. You don't want to give it. You know, nobody wants to
sugar.
get it. It was like Brax. If you got Brax on Halloween,
Brax?
yeah,
I don't know what
That's
Brax is.
candy
your
for
great-
your enemies.
your
I
great-
wasn't born yet, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just
your
kidding.
great grandma would give it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was-
that or-
Brax.
Brax, the candy company, not the Space Ghost character.
yeah.
Our dum-dums.
Oh, Dum Dums. Why are you even effing open to Dum Dums? Look like they should taste good. They look like milk balls, but
Dum-Dums.
once you put them, they taste like cat shit, basically. You bite
Like, how
them,
do you know what that tastes like?
you have to explore every avenue.
Cheap.
I thought it was.
I remember we would throw the box
Puts it under
swear.
research.
Yeah, you got the trick. Here's your dum-dum bar.
Cat shit, not good. Never try again.
Note to self.
Yeah, exactly. I must experience everything.
Okay, that's
Hope
our
not meth.
bucket list.
No meth.
Never gonna do that again.
Well, they
Meth
even
topic
did
bad.
they did a Saturday Night Live skit where they were sniffing the turds in the cat box. Remember, they go, "Oh, it's gross. Oh, let me try."
Yeah.
And they get about 5 people sticking their face.
They
down
can't
their
all be
goddamn-
winners.
I wonder who wrote that one.
Yeah.
Al
Wonder what's going
Franken?
on the writing. The writing on Saturday Night Live.
Well,
What's going on?
The hit and miss ratio. The last time I saw Saturday Night Live, you watch it for an hour without a single laugh. It was the worst, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then-
who's coming on there? That new comedian. I'm so bad with names. It's
Jace.
no girl, but African American girl. I don't want to be PC. Haddish, Tiffany Haddish. Do you guys know her? You don't know something? Oh my God. She's
Female
re-
comedians. It's you and Sarah Silverman.
Well, at least never mind.
Oh.
I'm not gonna say anything bad. But no, Tiffany Haddish. She's really funny. She got connected, I think, through Will Smith and Jada. But she's really, really hysterical. I can't believe you guys don't know her.
Well, hey, you're
she's
female.
SNL coming up.
You're
I
female.
saw her last night. I was like, oh man, I should.
I haven't watched SNL for so long.
You're a female comedian.
I pretty much left Saturday Night Live after the Not Ready for Primetime players left.
You shouldn't have done that because the next guy in the door was Eddie Murphy. And even though
I
it was
would
the worst
see him
season,
every
he was the
once
only.
in a
yeah.
while, but I preferred him in the movies.
Yeah.
You know, as far as
Yeah.
He was on the worst era of the
Where
show.
is Eddie? Eddie, where are you? The world needs you again. Come out, wherever you are.
Now, for female comedians, it's tough. I mean, like John Belushi was the one. He was the first of many of the male comics who announced women can't be funny. Did you
Wow,
ever?
I
Did
didn't
you ever
know
come
that.
across that sort of mentality?
Well, yeah, totally. I have like this one closing joke, and this guy came up to me after. He's like, "Oh, that you really can't be doing that joke and everything." I'm like, "Really?" Everyone laughed. This is hysterical. Everyone laughed, you know. And so that, I mean, I listened a little bit to what he said because he'd been in the game like longer, and I was like, "Oh, maybe he has a point." But no, you know, it's like. Because I'm really just so honest. I think that's my problem. That I think everyone else is.
That's what makes comedy funny, is honesty and the
Empathy.
truth.
Right. And so, I mean, I still use it as my closer, and I think it's funny, and it kind of made me just like, you know, take a step back and be like, okay, let me listen to who's talking and not take it personal because they're saying it from their brain. You know what I mean? So it's their thinking.
Was it a
you know?
customer?
yeah,
or
but
a
it's
fellow
also
comedian?
their opinion.
Yeah, it's
Right.
mansplaining.
And
yeah,
everyone has one of those, just like noses, right?
Or
we
something
all have
like
our
that.
Go
nose.
there.
Now, have you ever? I have to be blunt. Have you ever met?
No, I know. I was going to go there. I know.
And
I
I'm
did that
not
on
gonna-
another radio show and I got in trouble.
Now, have you ever met a comedic icon like you know who did something objectionable like you know who?
Like, you know who?
Louis C.K.
Oh.
Have you ever had that where you met somebody you had really admired and they misbehaved?
I mean, there's so many of those kind of things, but I'm trying to think of them. No, because I would be like, yeah, cool. No, just kidding.
Aim
I
towards-
like you and you like me. Great. No,
aim
let's
towards-
go. No.
aim towards the plants.
No, I'm like, no, I don't think so. No, not that I'm
Have
thinking.
you met Pauly Shore? Doesn't he own the? His
Yeah, actually, you
parents
know what's
own
so
the comedy store, right?
I feel like I don't want to like talk bad, but I just feel like he's like numb. Like when I talk to him, he's just like,
Mundane.
Yeah, we have a
Right?
Pauly Shore T-shirt
Signed on the wall right over
sign
there.
on the wall.
Oh wow.
To Chaotic Radio.
I met him. I took a picture with him, and I put my arm around him like I always do. Patrick knows, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a hugger.
Yeah, so
And
much.
he said to me, "Dude, don't touch to the talent."
Oh, brother.
I think like maybe that's like
I
goes
was
on
like,
maybe
that
in
was
his
kind of a
mind because
dick move.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
he's famous
Oh.
by association. I don't know, is he? Because
Yeah,
his mom owned the comedy store back in the
legend in his
day.
own
when-
mind.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he-
I mean, is he funny? I don't know. I don't
He
know.
tried- China went-
He was good. He had a good act. He was
He
good.
kind of went the way of Pogs and Dan Cortese, you know. The 90s ended and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after the show, he was in the back in the lobby selling his own T-shirts and his own CDs. And I thought I put my arm around him and take a picture. He's like, "Dude, don't touch the talent."
So
man."
you had a Gary Coleman moment with him.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because with Gary Coleman, I almost wanted to buy the trains for him when he was looking for it.
Oh,
So
here's
many
the $5,
And
dude.
I couldn't do that. Okay. But I just thought it was such a sad douchebag moment to ask for a celebrity. Kid had no idea who he was. The age of Gary Coleman. You
Waxed
know,
and gone.
the statue,
Different strokes.
the statues of the Gary Coleman had long since fallen.
No.
The people moved on to another sassy black kid. You know,
Webster.
Webster.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who sprang out of his rib like Adam and Eve?
And so I actually also coach soccer for 3-year-olds, and I have this little kid who looks exactly like Webster, and I'm just like, oh, yesterday I was just like, oh, the good old days, you know, Webster, different strokes, facts of life, you know.
You would always see the rise and fall of pop culture when you taught. I would see it as substitute teaching.
Right.
When the Marilyn Manson thing had started, it was all the shirts were revered. And then when Marilyn Manson fell, I would know it because you'd see the slightly starched out Marilyn Manson shirts on the guy, on the whatever kid had them, on the little brother for middle school football and soccer. The Marilyn Manson shirt is the 3-eyed face and all that, and it's half washed away by bleach. And it's on the kid, and you know the next stop is the Salvation Army bag mom is putting together.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, where is that guy, Marilyn Manson, now? I did a party at his house
He
once.
just played
you
with
really?
Nutfest.
What is it? Nutfest, you said?
Slipknot.
Nutfest. I'll tell you when
Jeff
Nutfest.
is
I'll
the-
be calling you up, Kelly.
It's not fast with Jeff Sargent.
and then
He's
he
knocking
had-
on the door and he's not using his hands.
Just don't blast it on Facebook. I'm going to Nutfest with Jeff Sargent. Now I'm going to get all these kills.
Said no woman
Why
ever.
didn't you tell me?
That's what my dad calls
Said no
it.
woman ever.
Dan, I saw
Yeah,
you
the
on
screening sausage
Facebook.
party.
No, sausage.
Jeff is taking Kelly Chippendale to Knotfest in his windowless van. Kelly,
Good, I love air conditioning.
Kelly, does it smell like is it-
What does it smell like?
Now, there was another famous little kid black actor. I can't remember.
Webster?
You'll know, Jankowitz. You'll know. The
Jankowitz.
kid with suspenders.
Oh, Urkel.
Urkel
Yeah,
O's. He had his own
Mike J. White.
breakfast cereal called Urkel O's.
But the,
Really?
you know what? The shocking thing about Urkel, and this is the terrible thing.
Did I do that?
The comedy, the creators of the show, they named him after some guy. They knew, I think he was a producer now or something, but they knew him in middle school. They grew up with him, and they used his name. It was a one-off character, and Urkel turned out to be the best episode of the season. So they made him a regular, even though all through the series, one of the ugly truths of the series, Family Matters, I believe, the mom and the grandmother were trying to get rid of him because they thought the show should be about them.
Oh, God.
And the producer's like, you're trying to kill the golden goose, which is why everyone's watching.
10 seasons later, right?
Yeah, and you look at
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, the guy who played Al Powell in Die Hard, the father on the show, he got hip to how big Urkel was. He started having himself tied into the Urkel storylines. Well, those two who hated the character and were trying to get rid of him for more airtime they were getting further and further away. So you got to give the dad on the show credit because he saw where this train was heading.
Yeah.
Right, cause and effect.
Reginald Bell Johnson.
Reginald Bell
Wow.
Johnson. Wow. Nicely done.
You win the prize.
You do win the prize.
You win a departure.
You and my painting.
It almost,
You
he
won his
almost
painting.
dead portrait
You're
by
gonna hang
friends.
that in your basement.
by the pool
It's
table.
quite a funny story. The artist committed suicide in his kitchen while painting this. But what happened?
Brown cloud.
The brown cloud. No, if he saw brown clouds, no wonder he was trying to. That's the most unhappy looking sun I've ever seen, too. It's about
Did
to
you
go
do that with your left hand?
It's about to go supernova. Plus, he is a Muslim.
Painted by a stranger.
Plus, he has a Muslim crescent on the far left.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
The guy has a
Come
hammer.
on.
But the
He
other
has
great-
suicidal tendencies. Leave him alone.
literally, we're trying to see if we can have a trigger event.
Trauma trigger.
Trauma
No.
So what happens is Urkel was named after a friend of theirs. And he was buying a car and he didn't know that the character had become a regular. And he said when he was buying like an expensive car, and the dealer started laughing at his name and demanded proof of ID. And he said the guy was flattered because everyone would laugh when they heard his name, not realizing he was really this white guy whose friend created the show. His name had become a punchline because of the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing, you know what I mean? I mean,
There you go. You know.
I
what
wish
mean?
I saved
do.
those. I used to collect the cereals that were. I had the Addams Family cereal, the Batman cereal, that Urkelos.
Wow.
I
I
would.
thought you were kidding before.
No, I would. I'm a toy collector and collectible. That's how
he collects toys, women, all sorts of things in his
Toilet
basement of
paper.
horror.
we go to all the comic shows.
Sometimes
if he
and
asks you-
I buy
sometimes
collectibles.
toy
And
women.
I love cereal boxes.
If he says, Kellyanne, does this smell like chloroform?
Dildo.
Do you have Mary Lou Retton on the Wheaties box?
Mary Lou
You're going to wake up in a gag ball and you won't be laughing.
Oh my God, Pulp Fiction. Ah, that's a triggering moment for me. Trauma trigger.
There's a prize in specially marked boxes.
Actually,
Yeah.
you know that guy Dwayne Whitaker on. You have to know the name.
Of course, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
He's the
gag ball guy.
yes.
Like when he goes on conventions, like a signing thing, he actually.
He's an acting coach too.
Yeah. Actually, he's good. I took his class, so
Oh,
I'm
did
not
you really?
putting him down. But like,
No.
when he was like going to the things, like, oh yeah, I gotta go pick up some gag balls. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I sell them. Excuse me. When I'm signing autographs, I also bring gag balls. I'm like, wow. Do you actually sign the ball or the
I
letter?
think I've seen him sign the ball coming. The interesting thing about a movie like Pulp Fiction, where everybody in the movie became famous. Everybody,
Right.
literally in the movie, everybody who has a moment in that movie. I interviewed Phil Lamar, a voiceover guy.
He's the guy of Samurai Jack on the Cartoon Network.
He's Marvin as well in Pulp Fiction. And he said he counts them trying to get the brains out of the hair as part of his screen time. I mean, but
Wait,
everyone,
but so I have one still question. I still never know. Like at the end when they open the suitcase, what's in there?
you don't need to know.
I know, but
We
what's
never
your?
found out, did we?
I know,
never
but what
told
is
you.
your take? Is what I want to know because I'm just curious. Because I'm a
that's
creative.
That's what we call a MacGuffin.
yes.
Ooh.
Every
my
hit
God.
show-
Vocabulary today.
Oh no!
Oh man,
It's already done.
We're in the
it's
last
time to
Damn.
plug this.
plug away. Start with you.
Plug
Oh my
Kelly.
God,
away. We're
plug
gonna
away.
start with.
No, I went ahead and we're actually on overtime.
Yes.
We are. How
So
do we do it? It's not
we're-
even 9. It's 3 minutes till
10?
9.
Oh, we go to 9.
Yeah, and I don't see Dutchie here, so
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna keep going.
Booyah.
One great teacher can change
this point.
your whole life.
Wow.
The suicide
no,
guy comes
we
through again.
See, he believes in hope. Even
That's
though,
a kind of cool thing, the suicide guy.
Even though he-
And now it's he doesn't care if the boss kills him because as long as it's not him doing it, right?
as long as you live
When they
life
call
under.
into him, is he the suicide hotline?
Yeah.
Suicide hotline,
I'm
call
sure.
909-360-8330.
You see his likeness under.
Win some art.
You see his likeness under a poop-covered sky.
the flying poop.
It's the flying poop.
How do we even know that was real pain on there?
The sun is
It's
about to go
real pain.
supernova.
I did it in rehab.
Oh, that explains it.
I love the generic to all my friends.
Well, I don't think we'll be able to auction it off because we won't get any bids.
Charles Bukowski is my favorite author, and
I can see why you were suicidal then.
Barfly is my favorite movie.
Wow.
Finest on-screen performance by Frank Stallone.
Yeah, it was.
As the world's toughest bartender.
I have a
Mickey
picture of Frank
Rourke as well.
Mickey Rourke, wow.
Yeah.
Charles Bukowski?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of Bukowski over there.
Yeah, he was a great drinker.
Did he ever do any of his own like self-expression art? Did he ever do that?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just do my my joke for you that the guy told me I
Lay it
shouldn't
on
do.
us,
Is that
baby.
okay?
Yeah.
Because I just got a new tattoo.
Ooh, we might have to
of
see
a
it.
mouse, and it's right here.
Wow.
So you guys want to see it?
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
I know you do. I've been seeing your eyes all morning. John.
Yeah,
Started with
let's
this
see it.
thing. Okay, are you guys ready?
Yes.
You guys are like, what? Cameras,
Yeah.
cameras. Look at the guy in there. Look at the suicide.
Make sure you
guy.
show the. Make sure you
Oh,
show.
shoot. The pussy must have ate it. Do you agree with the guy?
We want more.
I'm with the barfly.
It's like my revenge on all these guys in my life. Like,
That was good. I
Caesar
like
Reaver,
that.
no?
But
That
that's
was a lot
great.
closer than you
Oh
guys.
my
like-
God, no,
I
you're
like
really
the-
Thank
smart.
you.
I like the audience manipulation.
Yeah,
Oh my
you're
God.
Where you're getting up there and you're doing this.
You
and all the
totally
guys are
seduced
like
me
this.
right
I go,
there.
sir, are you sure? Are you sure you
I
want to
thought-
see this?
Wow, she wore sweatpants.
Yeah.
When I saw the sweatpants, I thought, oh, she was prepared to show us.
Actually, just
I'm
get up
sweating
really
right
late.
now.
They're actually Peruvian cotton.
Wow. By the way, I
These
love
sweatpants cost $100.
people in Jersey and Long Beach. They do that cotton. I like when you do
Cotton?
that. Say kitten.
Kitten.
Yeah, say kitten.
Really?
It's almost an English way of talking.
Kitten.
Yeah, see? You
Really?
did it again.
Yeah,
my
you
God.
dropped the T's.
You dropped the
People
T's.
From back east
Wow,
dropped
really?
the T's.
I
didn't
love
know that.
that. We don't do that in
Kitten.
Michigan, but she
And
goes,
the ORs. We
say button.
Orange.
Say, well, watch this. Say button.
Button.
Yes, button. No
Button.
T's. No T's at
Say
all.
50 cents.
50 cents.
Button, kitten.
I'm a
all these
reading
things.
specialist. I have my master's degree in it.
Wow.
So I say things better than most Jerseys.
Have you
I
ever
guess.
substituted?
So basically, you're
Have you ever
taking
been a
out the-
substitute teacher?
Yes.
Yes, so is he.
It's
I'm
a-
actually going this week.
Wow,
To
good
get
girl.
recertified, I guess, because
Yeah, Seabest. Once you pass Seabest, it's
I
the
did.
cool-
No, I passed already.
it's the best fallback job in the world because you know what I mean. I mean, if you've got an audition or a gig at the end of the week, you just I'm gonna pass
Right.
today.
So
know?
you bring your C-Best, and then what else do you bring? Money
no, you
to
walk
get
in.
certified?
You get you've been certified, right?
Well, I'm certified in New Jersey and New York. I have a C-Best in boss is
Yeah,
calling.
just show them. Just show them that you passed Seabest and start teaching out here.
Okay, but don't you have to get the certification with CBS and that and do all that crap?
Sometimes it's like $140 a day though, so it's the
Right.
best
No,
found
Beverly
money
Hills
job.
is $195.
And you're performing essentially. You know what I mean? I mean,
Education.
you're a whole day faking interest, feigning interest.
Yeah, no, I like to put it as education. No, actually,
with a captive audience.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I meant to say entertainment plus education is.
entertainment.
Edutainment.
You know what I mean? That's what it really has to be because we're operating on 1950s.
And I love it.
Or entercation.
The best subbing days are when you come in and it's a half day because they have to pay you as a full day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you do
you
it,
could get benefits for $20.
and if
20
you do
hours
a
week.
junior high, on a Friday morning, they have this like little. They bring in like a potluck to celebrate the end of the week. So they're like, "Hey, sub, grab a plate." And I was going to already. You know,
Right.
It's like-
Teachers are always eating.
Yes.
I feel like that. I feel like when I was a teacher, it was just like there's cupcakes, cookies, everything, because they're just probably so upset they're not getting paid enough to
Exactly.
live, or they have no school supplies to live. Which actually brings up a political point right now that I just saw yesterday. It's like everything's written off for businesses, relocating expenses,
paper and
Yeah, paper pens, but for teachers, no. It's like, what is going on? Like, why? What's going on?
With me, the worst was when you were stuck. I mean, if there was a fire in the mountains, there was no cafeteria or anything, and the kids are in the room all day. You don't get any time to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
It's so
screw
draining.
this.
By
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're like,
And you've gone
give me a
from.
Big Mac. No.
I know. I always saw.
Snickers really satisfied.
Call up Domino's.
I was really sad.
But I always saw.
I forgot about that one, man.
But I
Yeah,
always
I
saw.
could use some satisfaction.
I always saw subbing as like a rodeo clown. You know what I mean? You ride the bull, you tumble off the bull, and at the end of the day, you tip your straw hat and get the F out of there.
Yeah.
And when the worst days are like, there was a. You
4 day weeks.
And then when you were a giant guy and like first or second grade, the teacher's always walking like they're going to catch you doing something terrible. It's like, I had to come in to make sure everything was okay. Well, thank you. They were all so quiet. Because we're doing silent reading. You want to join us? We're reading Old Yeller or Vernacular or
Like,
something.
oh, silent reading.
Yeah.
Fuck, I gotta sit still.
SSR, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, SSR.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When comprehension existed.
Yes. And if
All
you're
those
reading,
years ago.
I'm listening.
you're reading Indian in the,
Sounding out letters.
you're reading Indian in the
And
cupboard.
that's
going,
for the adults.
in the
I
cupboard.
was like, I'm an aqua.
I'm
Remember when
reading-
you got the color? You're like, I'm an aqua now.
Yeah.
I'm in purple.
No,
I'm gonna be in
no.
red soon.
I'm blue. I shouldn't be green. But
Yeah.
you would be reading Vernacular to a bunch of kids. You'd be reading Indian in the Cupboard. Indian in the Cupboard is the most boring book. And I would be reading it, and it was like saying random words. I couldn't even remember what was happening in the story, but you're trying to put a little enthusiasm into it.
Right.
Where
The
the red-
Indian in
yeah.
the cover.
Where the Redford grows. And this little girl goes, Mr. J, I'm so in love with both dogs. I don't know which dog is my favorite. And I'm thinking in about 10 minutes, sorry about that, amateur hour. I'm thinking in about 6 chapters, both those dogs will be dead.
Don't worry, girl. Don't worry.
Don't get attached to old. It was Annie and old.
Ideas?
I didn't know the dog's name. There was like
sorry.
There was like a month.
Special ed brain.
Any and all ideas. Yeah.
Now I need to know what the name of this damn dog is.
Yeah. Well, I was like coaching the other day, and I was giving out stickers. I coach soccer for 3-year-olds, so
Wow.
I would give them the stickers because that's like what they need. Lately, I'm like, we don't need a sticker. Aren't we just happy playing soccer? But he goes, oh,
Said no kid
goes,
ever.
Coach Kellyanne. Said, Coach Kellyanne, I got a big problem. I was
Coach
like, "What?"
Kelly, that's adorable.
Coach Kelly.
Coach Kellyanne.
Yes.
Coach Kellyanne. It's like 3
Coach
syllables.
Kellyanne.
Coach Kellyanne. I was like, I had a really big problem. I was like, what? He's like, my sticker lost its stick. I was like, oh, I know what you mean,
that's
man.
so sad.
No. So he got an extra sticker.
Oh.
Little Joey.
Little Joey got his sticker.
I remember I was teaching at, I had to do a week at this place called Upland Elementary, Upland Junior High. And I'm teaching science in one of these ugly 70s modular rooms. It's a solid windowless room. And this little girl stands up to ask to go to the bathroom, and she goes, Mr. J, may I go to the... And she projectile vomits all around the room. Vomits,
right out of a movie.
vomits on her book bag, vomits on her friend. Shit hits the whiteboard behind me. I mean,
yes.
it was like a velociraptor, or the thing in Jurassic Park. So the little girl is just physically ill, vomits all over this windowless room. I'm inhaling vomit odor for the rest of the day.
Vomit fumes.
And the kids are cracking up, and this is going to be one of the traumas that's going to haunt this kid for the rest of his life. I have her best friend, the one who didn't get vomited on, take her to the nurse. And she used to tell the office, get somebody down here, clean up this vomit immediately. I don't get paid to clean up vomit.
I know. It's like extra vomit pay. How about vomit
I
pay?
may have a useless bachelor's in English, but you need to clean up this
It's like a
vomit.
meal penalty on the set, man. You get a vomit
Smoke
penalty.
pay.
So they do her the biggest favor.
And with each class, a free hazmat suit.
Yeah.
They come down with the biohazard bags, the yellow with like the biohazard bag you see in movies like Outbreak. And he's throwing her book bag, all her stuff is thrown into it. The notebook she vomited on, all this is going into the biohazard bag, the board out of his mind, janitor. He sprays the board, and then he pulls out this stuff, which looks like the hyper version of that stuff you put when your dog urinates on the rug. And I don't know what's in there,
It
but
makes
it's
it solid and shit.
10 times worse than her vomit.
You got a headache and shit.
I'm getting
Migraine
a
comes
migraine.
on.
I'm like, can you put me in any other room? And every kid's coming in. Mr. J, I heard about the vomit girl. Show me where she vomited.
It smells in here.
I'm like, yeah. Oh,
Why does it smell like this?
open a window. And the a-hole knows there's no windows in there.
You got the basement classroom and shit. No?
She did this during second period.
Not enough room in the school. Go in the basement.
Yeah, and the kids are walking into the class. Hey, mister.
I had to 5 more hours in that room. 5 more hours in that room with this poor little girl's vomit and whatever noxious stuff they put on top of it.
Yeah,
And it's like I was just so queasy. I'm like crawling to the office to clock out at the end of the day.
Right. But when you remember like your favorite best teacher that you had? Her
Yes.
name? What's her name or his? Notice I said both sexes.
I know. I was going to say favorite male teacher. Probably a guy named Larry Banish. Mr. Banish was my teacher in like 5th grade.
Okay. That was your favorite all time?
Oh, no. Okay, but all-time favorites, 3.
Okay. Oh, wow. We got 3. Top
Sister
3 like
Rita
kind of
Jean.
films.
Sister Rita Jean was my Fernandez.
Jane?
Sister Rita Jean was my 5th grade teacher.
Okay.
She was so cool. I got butted by, long story, I got butted by a goat and nearly died and missed a lot of school. I know.
Sister Jean, thank you for saving me.
So, no. Sister Rita Jean, over that summer,
Rita Jean. Rita.
she coached
Like Rita
me.
Brown.
She coached me.
Rita May. Sorry.
Rita Mae Brown,
didn't
the
eat
Canadian
yet.
author. That's obscure. So what happened is she coached me all summer on English and everything else. She was really cool. And Larry Banish, because he was a cool teacher, helped me a lot. Looked like Adam West.
Oh, no wonder.
And Judy Pett, the hottest.
Pett?
Miss Pett, the hottest teacher.
Oh, that's
She looked like the friggin' Catwoman. Everyone was in love with her. And I remember,
Hi.
well,
Here's
but
my homework.
She'd wear these long slit skirts. She was incredibly hot. And
What grade was that? 6, probably,
that was
right?
10. No, that was
12 years old.
10th grade. She was the most perfect.
Even worse, sophomore year.
And she was passing out papers. And I
Look, you're even going sensual right now, passing out papers.
And everybody else was passing out.
She made everyone joke it's Judy Hot for Teacher Pet is what they used to call her. And I was sitting with my little high school girlfriend Sharon, and I had a hangnail, and when I reached over, she was passing back papers. I got great grades in her English class as well.
English major.
I didn't. I
1
know.
plus 1.
Utterly useless.
As of now.
The son of an aerospace engineer and a nurse, an English degree does not impress. But I reached out with a hangnail in 10th grade and partially hiked up her skirt without meaning to.
Oh my God, I'm right. Here we go. I didn't mean it. I swear. I had a hangnail.
She smiled at me and carefully brushed down the skirt and patted me on the head, which it was the most sensual act in the world when you're in 10th grade.
I know, like it helped your whole sexual life from
through
that point on.
Everything was.
I love long skirts.
I do. It was like saddle shoes. When you're in Catholic school, saddle shoes are your big hang up. Anybody in saddle shoes and plaid skirt.
Mary Jane's. No.
Oh.
I got boots.
It was Doc Martens. That doesn't do it for me.
No, I do not have Doc Martens. People.
I didn't know you were.
She's
I
got
have tan
braided
suede with
strap on her
buckles.
shoes. Yeah, I like those shoes.
Plaid skirts and saddle shoes from the 5th grade on is what they kind of inculcate you with.
Sunday, Monday, happy day. All right, so let's go. What about your teaching?
3 favorite teachers. 2 favorite
Let's
teachers.
do one, because what if
Male
the boss
or
comes
Well,
in?
as far as favorite teachers,
Uh-oh.
I had 2 teachers that just used to crack me up.
Awesome.
Was he arrested after the?
Shut up.
One was a male. One was a male.
What were their
one was
names?
a
Let's
female.
give them some
give
props,
us- do you
man,
remember their
because
names?
teachers don't get any props in this country.
I remember.
You don't even remember their name?
He remembers
don't
the
remember-
big shape.
I remember the face.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember the quirk.
Okay.
I don't remember his name. I
Oh, you
remember her name.
What's her name?
Her name was
Miss-
Sister de Montfort.
Wow.
Hey, another sister.
What is it?
Uh-oh.
This was at Hofstra.
Sister,
Wow.
it only
de
from
Montfort Bab.
You didn't have any elementary school favorites?
No, not really.
Really? Did you go to Catholic or
No.
Pri-
I'm Jewish.
public?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sister,
you had like what?
Sister Mary
synagogue
Elephant.
Yeah.
stuff. Synagogue stuff.
But but it,
Wow,
what
no
was,
Jewish teachers
Not even
that you
Hebrew
like.
school teacher. No.
But what was really
That's
funny is, I'm such a Looney Tunes geek,
Right.
and
she.
Sister de Montfort Bab was a slight, thin woman with half of a habit. It's almost like she.
Half
Oh
a
yeah, the
habit.
modern habit. Yeah.
Yeah, the
He
modern
would have
habit.
half a habit.
Yeah, she didn't have the long penguin robe.
Right,
She had
right.
just the headpiece, but she had big round glasses.
Oh no.
And I swear that she reminded me of Little Red Riding Hood in the Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Wow.
Hi, Grandma.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I would be in the class, and everybody else would be in the class, and I would look at her, and she would talk like this. And it was almost like Sister Mary Elephant.
Yeah.
And the people next to me, I would just go, and everybody around me would start cracking up. So that was one.
Right. But why did you like her? Because you got to sing that song? And she didn't
Yeah,
bust
yeah.
you?
They just cracked me up. The other one, I don't remember his name. I'll probably remember it.
St. Anthony, come
3
on.
o'clock
Something
in the
cannot be found.
This one,
You're good.
he taught geology also.
Wow, I wish
at
I took
Hofstra.
geology.
We're getting
But
you last one here. You're teaching us
The
too.
problem is he had a stutter like Porky Pig.
Oh, God.
Bummer.
So he-
1 plus 1. Is that 1 plus 3?
So he was talking like
Right.
this, and I'm just sort of holding my head in my hands, and I'm
Future voiceover
I
star.
had my face on my chin on my palm, and I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to will myself not to shake with laughter.
You just want to
Everybody-
finish the sentence, right?
Yeah, everybody
one.
else is pretty much turning around in their seats, and their shoulders are going up and down. We never got through a class. I think it was almost. It was almost.
See, it's contagious. They're yawning. That's all, folks.
And I'm saying barometric.
Oh, my goodness. Ugh. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I would walk out of that class with a twitch.
Wouldn't the other administrators from the school, like, know this?
He
They
probably
had
knew
the stutter
somebody.
problem?
Probably
One
knew
would
somebody. It's
think.
California.
Yeah.
I
How about
think
you,
by
Jeff?
that time he probably had tenure.
Right.
Mine?
Yeah.
Mine was at Baldwin Stalker Elementary
Say,
School
East Coast.
Wow.
at
This is the guy who
in
wants to-
Arcadia, California, right
Oh,
down the
okay,
street
maybe
from
not.
Santa Anita Racetrack.
He would take Jeff into the closet.
This was Mrs. Shinicky.
Shinicky.
Mrs. Shinicky, and I remember this very clearly, and it
Change your life.
I didn't know. I just made me, she had this
better person.
low cut thing.
Sexual deviant.
I did, yeah, sexual deviant. I love boobies. I didn't know what to do with
I
them.
love
I saw them,
boobies.
and
Have you been reading the news lately? Do you have a radio in your
Go,
house?
go, go. I want to hear this. Come on, let it
I'm
out. Let it
only-
out. It's all in your left brain.
She would come she would come in, and you raise your hand, and she ask for help, and she would go, yes, and her
Cleavage.
and I could see everything. And
So what was your
I
thoughts as soon
decided-
as you saw the cleavage?
He said, from this moment on, I'm into 78-year-old woman.
I decided to be one of those students
Got
that
all A's.
had the special learning problems.
Oh.
And I would
negative
raise my
attention.
hand 3 or 4 times during
Would you
lessons
raise your Baton hand
to
or the
come
normal
over
one?
here how to spell a 3-letter word,
The.
and just so and she goes,
You.
yeah, okay, what you write down. She was down looking on the paper, and I was just.
Weed.
And so begins the steps towards a career
W-E-apostrophe.
masturbation by Jeffrey
Well,
Sargent.
no, she had no business being a teacher. She should have been on a Playboy calendar or something like.
So, but wait.
But
So
I
did you
remember this
learn?
in detail? God, I was only what 6, 7
He
7 years
memorized her
old or
breasts?
something.
So like, oh yeah. So that's interesting.
You just wanted lunch.
I just.
Oh, please, gentlemen.
Is that a word, gentleman? I didn't know that existed.
I would
Compound?
go back to New Jersey at the
Gentlemen, who
seashore.
came
We
in?
lived at the seashore, and I would see the lifeguards and the girls in their bikini walk by. I'd be digging.
You be dicking?
I'd be digging, making sandcastles.
He'd be dicking
and then
himself
I would
all the
just
way to
stop.
China.
I would just stop and go.
Boobies.
And
So that's
Lifeguard,
interesting.
that boy is pleasuring himself on the
Mrs.
beach.
Shinicky, where is she today, boy?
Shinicky.
Probably.
Wow, that's so interesting. Or not.
how about you? Hey, that's your turn, Mystery
That's
Girl.
interesting. No, but I
Kellyanne?
just like that because it's like you're 7 years old. It's not. Was there like something that came before you? Like, did your dad have Playboy that you saw at 6?
He was molested by
No.
2 male teachers.
Later on that year, I think I found a stack of Playboy in my.
It's just
in the
intrinsic
garage.
in
We
your
lived
nature.
a house behind us was.
All of a sudden, he
We used
understood
to
why
do.
cats made
Remember, we used to
biscuits.
do those paper drives in school. We'd bring all our newspapers in the paper.
Nobody would
drive
donate their porn. Come on.
And I saw that.
I
and I
call
hit that.
One
shenanigans.
slipped in there.
I call
He's like,
shenanigans.
yes, it's my lucky day.
Nobody is going to donate their porn to a great school. But
No.
Look, a pop-up book.
No,
Yeah, I
they
call
were in the
shenanigans.
garage before we were taking our personal newspaper stacks.
I like
bringing
how
to
every time
school.
you say that, you
Those were
scratch
in
your
the corner.
crotch.
I
Yes,
hit
but-
Then he hits my leg.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's a joke. I'm not one of those.
Don't worry, he's humping your leg like an old dog.
Oh my God! Stop, Jeff! Stop!
No,
He's long since been
It's on my
fixed.
thigh now. Stop!
I never
just
told
trying to-
anybody
Just
that
say no.
story, so I'm
Nancy
telling
Reagan.
it on the air right
Please
now.
never tell it again.
No, that's really good. Oh wait, what do you got?
Oh, yeah,
In the
Dan the
booth,
Man
we
Rope.
forgot. Suicide Watch. No.
I didn't have porn when I was young.
Okay.
I had the JCPenney catalog.
Oh my God, the bras.
Yeah, and they had the bra section.
Wow, and the underwear
So
So
over
what
the
about
belly
your
button.
teachers? We're not talking about.
No,
Yeah,
he
like
can talk
right.
what he wants.
Yeah,
This is his time.
my favorite teacher
Yeah.
was Mr. Heupel at Altaloma High School.
HYPLE.
Yes,
Okay,
Mr.
cool.
Heupel. He
See,
was
I'm a teacher.
He said, come with me, Dan.
He was,
I'm
he
Mr.
was the
Heupel.
craft teacher, and he was probably like 60 years old, but he'd wear the same shirt every day, and it was always a KISS t-shirt. So I thought he
Wow,
was
what
really
school did you go
cool
to?
because he'd wear a KISS t-shirt, and he's like 60,
Wow.
and his favorite saying was, as you know, when you're making pottery, as you know, you have to turn the wheel this way. And as you know, you have to put your hands on the clay. And as you know, we
Squeeze.
have to.
As you know what I mean?
No, Dan,
Well,
you
Well, that was
don't.
kind of affirmative. As you know, he's already saying that you
He
know.
leaned over and he
Kinda cool.
whispered,
And
As
then
you know, suicide is not good for you.
I
Well, he
hear
said,
ya.
when you
I
make
hear ya.
he said, when you make this type of art with someone, Dan, you don't tell any of your other grown-ups.
As
Wow.
you know.
As you know.
That's so interesting.
How about you,
Teacher wear a
Kellyanne?
KISS t-shirt.
What happened with you? Who's your teacher of the year?
I have all my favorite teachers because I remember them all.
Wow.
All right, ready? Miss Keg, Miss Hummer. No, not that kind of teacher. Miss
Hummer.
Schilling,
Miss
Miss
Hummer.
Antoscu, Miss Burns, Miss Miller. Miss Miller kind of set things straight. It was 6th grade. I love to talk. I was going to be named Gabrielle, but my dad didn't want them to call me Gabby because of that. But anyway, so I'm Kellyanne. But anyway, yeah, I had to sit up on the ledge because it was one of those basement classrooms.
Well, I love it.
I
They're
was
like you with a little girl
I got
vomited in, no
so-
windows.
Yeah. Well, it had windows, but we were lucky, I guess, in Jersey. But yeah, I would. I would just get in trouble because I would always talk because it was hard for me to sit in the seat, and just be quiet and listen. So I had to sit up on the edge, the edge of the classroom, like the back of the room.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, but it was good. I mean, I don't know. I just had really great teachers who cared. I mean, obviously, I guess she cared because she had to separate me from the rest.
No,
So I wouldn't disrupt things. So yeah, actually, my 3rd grade teacher congratulated me on my film, actually on Facebook, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
And she was like the one who was like, Kelly, you can't be mean to the other students. I think that I just not that I was mean, but I was maybe a little more
Mean.
ahead of time. I think I'm an old soul, so I would just get frustrated. I didn't know really how to.
An old soul is usually code for being a bitch to another girl.
I'm an old soul.
You have an old soul. No, I just look good for my age.
So Kelly, who encouraged you? Who said, hey, when you told your folks, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian, did
I
Dad
hate-
start
yeah.
weeping and Mom, no.
No, Mom's not really happy about it still to this day. My dad came to see me. I performed at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City a couple of times, but he came. To
Early
see
parole
me.
or weekend
Yeah.
release?
No. No, actually.
I'm over here in the jumpsuit, honey.
No, he's like, I'm on the stage taking my clothes off.
He's telling,
I'm paying for those diapers, though.
he's telling the other comics, that's my daughter. Stop touching yourselves.
Like, no, don't.
I'll have to shiv you.
No, don't go there. Listeners, don't listen. His brain's overactive right now. We're over in overtime.
If I see you touch yourself over Kelly Bear again, I'm going to shank you at lunch.
Oh my God, no. Don't want to imagine that image.
All right.
It's out of there.
Oh, it's that time again. Now we can
Yeah,
plug ourselves. We
this
got 5
is
minutes.
The worst part of the
Boo.
show. I know. I'm sorry, but as executive producer, I have to shut this thing down.
You let us go over. You let the party go
Yeah,
on, even though neighbors called the
we-
cops. You let us continue rolling.
That's
went
great.
A lot over. So let's plug everybody.
Pimpathon.
Okay, let me plug our sponsor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Plug our
Pacific Wine
sponsor.
Cellar.
Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange in downtown Upland at the Metrolink in downtown Upland, where you could have the finest of Patron cigars and the finest wines, the finest exotic wines and craft beers.
A European beer, delicious.
Live
Wine
music on the weekends.
Live music on the weekends and spitting distance from IHOP.
That is Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange, downtown Upland at the Metrolink station.
Now,
Yeah.
Femme Fatale. What do you have to pimp for us, Femme Fatale?
Wow, Femme Fatale. That's wow. Ooh, wow.
It's your turn,
You're
Kelly.
getting me excited.
Kellyanne.
Stop, Brain. I'm just gonna call you Brain. Yeah, my name is. You can just go to kellyannechippendale.com, and my film called Meisner, which is a film in a doc, and it's shot in Monaco, Monte Carlo.
Wow.
For
fancy.
Grace
Wow,
Kelly.
damn.
Grace
Oh,
Kelly,
no.
breathe the English,
That's hot.
I'm
wow.
I'm making.
How
I'm
exotic.
I'm making a possibility tour around the world to change it with listening, dialogue, connection, and empathy. So join me in the possibility of
Wow,
that
that's
happening and
great.
to change the world. Be the change, baby.
Wow. That's
Pretty
very-
deep.
That's very uplifting. Your
How
turn,
about today's
guest
host
Guest host
from the
Jeffrey
Jeff
Breslau.
Bressler Show today?
Yes, Jeffrey Breslauer, actor, writer, voice artist, puppeteer, and the way
Muppeteer as well.
Puppeteer, and the way things are going, I'll probably be here at chaoticradio.com.
Oh, I'm also in the heart of Hollywood. I'm sorry. I forgot that one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was rude. That was my impulsiveness of why my 6th grade teacher put me on the ledge. Sorry.
But you're in the moment.
In
That's
the
right.
moment.
I like it. I got Meisner.
There you go.
What about Patrick, Hulk, the companion of everything?
Oh, yeah. You can get You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry, a Hulk Companion, forward by Lou Frigno on Amazon. You can get Just When You Thought It Was Safe, a Jaws Companion on Amazon. And just for a break, I did
Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, a TV companion, forward by Aaron Gray, also on Amazon and your better bookstores and comic shops.
I would think you'd want to
Awesome.
do a Wonder Woman book, so it would be just on Amazon.
I'll be on the cover.
That's in the right. All right.
I'll show you my mouse tattoo again.
Yes, oh, the mouse tattoo. That was the best part of the show. Oh, my God. At least for me, where I'm sitting.
Awesome.
All right.
How about you, Dan the Man Rupp? Got anything to pimp?
Radolescence tonight at the Blacklight District in Long Beach. I'll be operating the board, and Radolescence, for people who don't know who they are, they're guys from the Descendants and guys from the Yeasty Boys. So,
Yeasty or beastie?
Yeasty.
Oh,
Dan's
interesting.
band.
Parody.
Yeah, parody. Yeah, they dress up like clowns and
And the
Yeah.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
It's like ICP meets the Beasties.
watch the yeast rise with the Yeasty Boys.
Yes.
Ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, from your friends at the Jeff Sargent Show, including exec producer Dan the Man Rupp, the lovely guest Kelly
I will be back
Chippendale.
on my show a week from. I'm taking next week off.
Next week we have
If
off
you guys want to do whatever you want,
vacation.
go
Joel
ahead.
and Jeffrey Breslauer and
Yeah,
the gang.
Yeah, so Monday
Keep
we're
singing,
going to
baby.
have State Assemblyman Mark Steinworth on.
Boy, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, yeah, I know. The show-
Steinworth.
going from-
Perfect.
You're
Go
going
ahead.
from Kelly Ann and Jeffrey to some boring local politician.
Yeah, local assemblyman, and
We need politics.
and then Janice Elliott on Tuesday.
Wow,
who's,
how'd you get Janice Elliott on Tuesday?
it was pretty hard, man. She's pretty hard to get on. She's
Tuesday is a stripper from Fontana.
Interesting.
No, she's a
She's pretty
city
hard to
council
get on.
member in the
Never
city
on
of
Tuesday.
Upland. So we're gonna catch up on Upland news and city of Upland.
Corruptland, yes, that's what they call it. The ATF actually raided our city hall.
Yes, they have.
Don't have anyone cool on. I don't want to see Betty Beware. I don't want to see anybody cool on your show until we get back. Hasta la vista, gang. Happy
All right,
Friday.
we'll
Oh, a
see ya.
good photo. Here's
Have
my,
a great
here's my
weekend.
film.
Oh, yes.
Thank
please.
you for filling in,
Is
Jeff.
that you?
Yes.
You want to give one to Jeff?
And I'll give them to you.
You got to give him one too.
I'll sign it if you want.
Oh, yeah. I was about to ask.
Absolutely.
Now her clothes disappear when you turn it upside down.
No, yeah. Right? Put it in the black light.
Perfect.
Wow. This is all you. This is all out of your head, right?
I wrote it with the 3 other girls. Yeah,
Ooh.
but I produced it.
Ironically, the
Look
middle
at
of
all
Jerry
these
Sister.
awards. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know.
Best leading actress, best cinematography, best supporting actor, best producer, best women film.
Let me know
I
about
know,
tasteful
that's a good
nudity,
one.
Blondie.
Oh, cool.
Any tasteful nudity in it?
No,
Yeah,
but
I
there's
want
that
mine
shot.
autographed,
Isn't it a great
too.
shot?
It is
This is the
perfect shot.
producer of Entourage's house.
Really?
Yeah.
So you actually got to be a real life douchebag.
No, he's really cool.
I'm
Ellen,
joking.
Ellen, you know Ellen, you know. 'Cause
Oh yeah, no, of course. He also wrote. He's written a bunch of films. Wow. Did you like him?
Yeah.
Doug Ellen. They
Yeah.
fired.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's his brother. His brother's also. Do you have a Sharpie?
Yeah, right here. I'm sorry. Use this. I was looking for my good pen. No, Doug Ellen's cool. He fired. Oh my God, famous story. They fired Richard Dreyfuss from Entourage. They
Really?
fired Richard Dreyfuss, and a half hour later, they got Marty McDowell to play the part.
Why?
Dreyfuss and Ellen did not hit it off.
Well, he's kind of a little bit of a difficult person.
Give me that coffee.
Rob, his brother, is where this house. He's
I'll
like,
wash him out if you want. I don't want to make you do it. Hey, put him
I'll
on
do
the-
it. I'll do it. Stay here, Dan.
Jeff, you any last felt? No? Okay.
Yeah.
You want one more?
I will
Okay.
too. Can I have one more too?
Of course. Hey, hold on, Jeff. Bring him up the cups. We got requests. What? They want more coffee.
I got an hour drive or maybe more.
Yeah,
Do
you
you
and
go
me
to
both.
Do you go to Thursday? Where do you live?
Pasadena.
Oh, okay. Yay! Yeah. Do you know
Sedina,
Tova Later?
Hmm?
Tova Later.
No.
It's not too bad.
She's Oliver Stone's best friend.
Really?
I just spoke at I just showed my film at New York Film Academy.
More coffee in the fridge or on the fridge?
She did the Q&A with me. That's what these cards are from.
Coffee? Do you know where?
This is part of my work that I sent out to casting.
And they're in the fridge?
Mr. Friend?
No, this other guy, cheaper. If you want me, I'll give you his number. His name is great. He's great. Thanks for a great show. Shooting the shit. It was fun. I love it.
That's my dream, is going to the Cannes Film Festival
Really?
someday.
Yeah, my
Wow.
age, it's great. My
That's a bucket
fantasy is
list
to go to
thing.
the can.
All right, that's cool. I
Thank
went,
you.
I went not this year, last year, and it was. I came up with a slogan: "Nice to see, better to be." This is the Mad Magazine part. Look, guys.
On the Mad Magazine, where'd it go? The thing is, Kelly,
What?
I worked in
Save us.
dentistry. I worked in
No.
I worked in dentistry.
No.
That's
Oh
what I
my
do.
God, you guys aren't even
Check
shocked.
this